And it'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right, thank you, first of all, for the co-creation of this interaction, this day of your time. In allowing this transmission to occur in this way, you are creating and co-creating not just the vibration of our world, not just the vibration of your world, but a third vibration that is a composite of both, in which we can more easily interact. And that is the whole idea of this transmission, is to discuss ways in which you can prepare yourselves for further interaction. As we intimated in our last transmission, most of the preparation for interaction with us involves the idea of more and more interaction with your inner selves, more and more integration. Interacting with our alliance involves interacting more with yourself as an alliance of what was previously individuated and compartmentalized components, bringing them all together, integrating them together, blending them together, and allowing that blending to create a new vibration in yourself, a new signature vibration that is in and of itself more indicative, more reflective of interacting with other integrated association vibrations such as our own. By creating that frequency of cohesiveness within yourself, you put yourself more into a reality that is representative of that domain. And by being in that domain, you can thus then interact with all other such frequencies that represent themselves and present themselves that way. You all follow along? All right. Now, as we have said, the idea, therefore, of preparing for contact will involve inner discovery, digging deep, looking within, bringing to conscious awareness more understanding of different aspects of yourself that you may not have considered or may not even be aware of. Anything and everything that will happen in this interaction will be happening within a vibration that is safe, secure, in that sense, sacred. The first thing we would want you all to recognize and remember is that no matter what you encounter, there is nothing that is outside the sacred. Everything is within the sacred. Everything is a part of all that is. If you find at any point in this interaction there is trepidation, doubt, fear, hesitation within you, to examine, to explore, to encounter any aspect of your consciousness, let that be all right. Let it be all right to feel the doubt, the hesitation. Do not suppress it. Do not ignore it. Do not gloss it over. Invite it in. And allow yourself to own it. That is what is happening right now, and that, therefore, is what is important to be happening right now, for it will put you in touch with a new discovery, a new piece of yourself, heretofore undiscovered, heretofore uncharted territory within you, and will always be, always be something that can serve you in a positive and constructive way, and always be something that can be added and integrated within you to help you grow, to help you expand, to help you become more of who you already are. And that simply means becoming more aware of who you are. Remember that this whole process is not really about becoming something you are not. It's just about remembering more of who you are. That's all it takes. In our civilization, we are fully aware of who we are. Our civilization interacts synchronistically every moment. There is nothing that occurs in our reality that we do not recognize as a reflection of our consciousness, both individual and collective, and that we do not recognize as synchronicity expressing itself. For synchronicity is simply your time-space way of experiencing the fact that everything exists all at once. That's what synchronicity is. When you have a series of so-called coincidences, it's just showing you in a space-time way that everything is connected, everything is one thing. It's time-space way of showing you everything is happening now, but can only show you in synchronicity. Now, the effects, what you wish to call side effects, of exploring more and more and more of yourself and integrating it is not just the idea of more experience of synchronicity. The idea of interacting with us, being that we are in other dimensions, naturally, than you exist in, will involve shifts, adjustments, that will from time to time make it seem as if your reality may be disassembling. Your physical personality ego structures may not like this at first. And that is where some of the fear may come up, when some of the side effects may begin to occur, where you find that your reality is becoming quite plastic, quite malleable. You may think, even sometimes, you are going crazy. Well, you are, but in a good way. In this case, crazy will save you. Allow yourself to let crazy be all right, because it will not be out of control. It will be consciously directed. It will be a recognition of the way you actually relate to all that is. It will be the recognition that you are all magical, and that magic is the order of things, the natural order of things, not the exception. So let the disassemblage occur. Again, if you feel any kind of fear or trepidation, that's all right. Don't suppress it. Let it in. Explore it. Explore your beliefs. Explore your definitions. Explore your feelings. Explore your thoughts. Find out why you would be reacting the way you are reacting. Find out what kind of definitions you would have to have in order to experience the emotions you are having or the feelings you are having with regard to the way in which you will experience these different sensations as you change your reality, as you change yourselves. Now, the first step we would like to take in this protocol for interaction and preparation for contact between your species, our species, other species that are participating in this telepathically, is to, first and foremost, let each of you go within for a moment. And by going within, I ask you to take with you on your inward journey this question and just ponder it. Let it roll around in your consciousness for a moment. Why do you want contact with us? Just think about it. Why do you want contact with us? Why are you here in this interaction? Think about it. Feel it out. You may actually find out that you thought you knew why, but now in this moment come up with another reason. You may surprise yourselves. If you do, so be it. We will, in this process that you will go through now, suggest one caveat. When you discover your answer, fine-tune it so that it can be expressed in less than 15 seconds. If you cannot find a way to express it in less than 15 seconds, go back down and ask the question again. Most of the answers to these questions will actually be 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a sentence long. That's about it. Get to the heart of why you want contact with us. Take a moment, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and go inside. Take the question with you. Why do you want contact with us? Now, some of you may have an answer, many of you may not. And if you do not, that's all right. This is not a test. You are not found wanting. This is just an opportunity to really get in touch with why this seems important to you, so that you can really understand your motivations, and we can begin to work together to examine, to explore, to discover what contact means to you, what meaning you have assigned to it for yourself. You do not, at this time, have to necessarily go to your microphone. But anyone who wishes to answer the question now may say, Bashar, and do so.
Bashar.
You.
Feels like it would be a lot of fun.
It feels like it would be a lot of fun.
Is it too many words, Mom?
No.
It just feels exciting.
It's exciting.
You, Bashar, feel exciting.
No. You feel exciting, because what you are feeling is your own energy choosing to match the frequency I am offering to you. You are not feeling us. You are feeling you. That's exciting.
That is exciting. You enhance it.
We allow you an opportunity to create it. We are only a catalyst to allow you to match our frequency. You do not feel us in that sense. We do not even really enhance it. You, in this moment, are expressing a willingness to be more of who you are. You are allowing us to reflect to you vibrationally what that level is. You, by matching that frequency, uplifting your own vibration, are experiencing only your own energy and your relationship to all that is. That is why contact occurs. So that, like in any relationship, the individuals in the relationship can reflect to each other the vibration the other can use to become more and more and more aware of who they actually are. Does that make sense to you? So, it's exciting. Literally, the idea is that it is a state of excitation. Contact is a state of excitation, of frequency matching, frequency mirroring. That's what contact is. By allowing yourself to experience that idea made out of your own energy, by knowing it's your own energy you are experiencing, you allow yourself the opportunity to know it is not about needing us. It is about allowing us to remind you that you have within you already the full potential to create and experience any state you wish. Any state you wish. That is the primary contact. The contact with yourself, the contact with your relationship to all that is, and by allowing yourself, by being willing to exist in that state because it excites you just to be in that state, because that's who you know yourself to be, then in that state will all things also representative of that state be then capable of manifesting. Because you cannot experience what you are not the vibration of first. Does that make sense to you? You cannot experience what you are not the vibration of first. Choosing to be in the excited state that contact represents to you is simply a way of being in the state of your preference regardless of whether it has to do with contact or not. But contact with us, exposure to us, interactions with us in this way is another device, another methodology of reminding you that you can create at any moment any state you wish, and that when you create a state of excitation, the concept of contact is one of the expressions of that state. It is not that contact is exciting, it is that excitement contains the concept of contact. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
So, the reason we asked the question, and thank you for sharing your answer, is so that we could inspire within you the realization that in getting in touch with why you want contact with us, it's because what you desire is that state of being, of excitation. But we cannot give it to you. It's not ours to give. It's yours already. And the idea is that if you are willing to understand and know that the state of excitation lived for its own sake, created for its own sake, because you have no choice but to be that state because you know that's who you are, will thus then automatically, as a side effect, contain all of the manifestations of all the things that are representative of the same vibration you are willing to create yourself to be. Contact is one of them, and we are specifically directing the state of excitation toward that experience. But the state comes first. Does that make sense? So, when we ask, are you excited? We do not necessarily mean that you have to have any particular reason, not even the idea of contact with us, to answer the question, yes. Because if we ask, are you excited? Being able to simply answer yes for its own sake is sufficient. You don't need any other reason other than you choose to be excited because that's who you are. That's who you prefer to be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that sound exciting? Now, if you are willing to create that state because it is who you are, because you have no other choice, then in that state you will begin to create more and more and more synchronicity on a variety of levels, in a variety of ways. And we are sure that many of you have, from time to time, experienced an acceleration in your synchronicity when you were excited, when you were flowing. Yes? Yes. Well, believe me, you've experienced about this much of what's possible. Understand, as an example, those of you that are familiar with the vibration we give off, that you are experiencing to some degree right now, recognize that you are experiencing about 5% of our total energy. That's it. When we communicate in this way to you for what you call hours at a time, and allow the idea of the channel's body to be energized in that process simultaneously and not depleted, and all of you feel the idea of excitement and inspiration in what you share in these interactions, in these co-creations, all of it, to the strongest degree you have ever experienced it with us, has amounted to no more than 5% of our total output of energy. We want to break that to you slowly so you don't explode. Why would you be disappointed?
Because that seems like 95% of work, you know, just to express that. Good answer. Good question.
Thank you. There are no bad answers,
Yeah, no.
but we are curious for the reason you use that word, disappointment. For that is what you do when you fall into the idea of the negative definition and the negative belief, is you literally disappoint yourself as the one in charge. That's what disappointment literally is. You are removing yourself from the appointment of who is actually running your reality. Disappointing yourself. Reappoint yourself by understanding that no matter how a thing may appear, always you have the opportunity to put a positive meaning into that thing, to see it in a positive light, and to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you will always be capable of extracting a positive effect from it, no matter what anyone else's intention in the situation may be. Now, what could possibly be disappointing about that? Do you follow? Do you follow?
Yes.
Does that make sense to you? Is there something else about the concept of disappointment you would like to explore? For this is all part and parcel of preparation for contact.
Can I comment, Bashar? Please. I am seeking outside validation for the ascension.
Outside validation for the ascension.
That is my reason for contact, and
Then you will never have it. You will never have it.
for my own ascension, not, well, for all of us.
It doesn't matter. You will never have it. Let me put it to you this way. We understand what you mean when you all say outside validation. But very often, you don't actually understand what you really mean by that. But here's an analogy that we have often shared with regard to the concept of seeking outside validation before you will allow yourself to believe that something is, for you, true. Many of you may have heard us use this analogy. Nevertheless, it is appropriate here again because of the outside validation concept. You all are familiar with the idea of physical mirrors, glass mirrors. Well, seeking outside validation before you will believe you are who you know yourself to be is like looking at a frown in the reflection in the mirror and deciding that you want the frown, the reflection of the frown of your face frowning, you want it to smile. But instead of just smiling, you go over to the mirror and attempt to make the reflection smile first. That's what seeking outside validation is like. Because there is no outside. It's just a reflection. There is no outside. None. Zero. The idea, therefore, is that if you choose to smile just because that's who you are, if you choose to be in a vibration of ascension because that's who you are, if you validate yourself, if you valuate yourself to that degree, you will then simply smile and automatically see a smile in every reflection. But if you rely on the idea that the reflection, the outside, must validate, must give you a reason to smile, you will never smile because you will never see the reflection smile before you do. Ever. Unless perhaps you're in a funhouse mirror. And even many of you who sometimes say, well, I understand, yes, I will choose to be this vibration first, and that's really the most important thing, still often will seek to see change in the outside world to, again, validate the change they say they have made. But if you say you've made a change and still seek validation outside for it, you haven't changed. You have not changed. Validation. Validation is important to have, but the idea of seeking it outside is not the way it works. Here's how validation works. Validation is responding differently to whatever's going on outside you, even if it doesn't look any different than it did a moment ago when you responded negatively to it. If you have a negative response to something, and then you say, all right, I'm going to change myself, I'm going to create a more positive attitude, a more positive perspective, and when I do, I expect to see that situation change into a positive reflection. That expectation means you actually are not changing inside because you're still waiting for the outside to show you you have changed instead of simply saying you've changed. Which means if you really have changed, you would respond differently to the situation even if it looked the same. Validation is whether or not you respond in a positive way to whatever is going on, no matter how it looks. That's validation of the change in your state of being. Your response, your behavior to it, not how it looks. Because everything in your reality is a neutral prop and can serve double duty. It can reflect a positive effect, it can reflect a negative effect. The appearance of that thing, while it may often change, doesn't have to change in order for you to extract a positive effect from it. The only criteria is, are you putting positive meaning into it, even if it looks the same as it did when you put negative meaning into it? If you put positive meaning into something you used to put negative meaning into, that's validation of a change. And then guaranteed, even if it doesn't change its appearance on the outside, you will still get a positive effect from the situation, no matter how it looks and no matter what anyone else's intention in that situation may be toward you. That will no longer matter because you will recognize that's just a reflection. It carries no substance. It carries no weight. It carries no impact. only you impact yourself in that sense. Does that make sense to you? Does this help with that issue of validation from the outside?
Absolutely. It brings me to...
We're not done with it, but go ahead.
It's now.
It is now.
Right now.
It is right now.
And it's right now. And I have shifted.
All right. Very good.
And I have shifted now.
Yes, and now, and now, and now, and now, and now, and now, and now. We will talk a little bit more about the idea of what that shifting means in a moment. But first, we also wish to remind you of something very powerful and very important. Because we understand the reasons psychologically for why many of you seek the idea of outside validation, even with what you call positive intention. It is for most of you the desire to know whether or not what you're doing actually is having impact on the world. Let me assure you, let me absolutely assure each and every one of you, and I mean with absolutely no exception whatsoever, you all have complete and total impact all the time on the totality of creation just by existing. What you choose to do in life that is representative of your joy is not what creates impact. You do not create impact. You already have impact, and every single one of you is already having all the impact you can ever have. Because you have 100% impact on the totality of creation. There is nothing else. You all already have 100% of the impact you will ever have. Following your excitement, acting on your joy, creating a life you prefer, making yourself more integrated is not about having more impact on the world than you already have. It's about making yourself more aware of the impact you're already having. It's not about creating impact that you don't have. It's about becoming more aware of the impact you're already having. Big difference. Big difference. You don't have to try when you're already doing something. Believe me, you already have all the impact you will ever have. You can decide in what way you will perceive the impact you are having by acting on your excitement. Acting on your excitement will allow you to align with your particular resonance, and that alignment will allow you to perceive in a specific way one aspect of the impact you are having. And it's only one aspect. Whatever it is that excites you at any given moment, when you act on it as fully as you can, what that gives you is awareness of one aspect of the impact you already have on creation. So, don't worry. Just by being, just by existing, you all have all the impact you can ever possibly have. Because believe me, if you didn't, you wouldn't exist. If you were not automatically capable of impacting, affecting the totality of existence, you would not be a holographic aspect of creation. You would not exist. If there was no purpose for your being, you wouldn't exist. And if you exist, there is purpose for your being. And if there is purpose for your being, the impact that purpose has is complete. Because all that is all that is. And if you are a part of all that is, which obviously you are, unless I'm speaking to myself, which I am, then the idea of just being a part of all that is, just recognizing that you are a part of all that is recognition that you affect everything, with every thought, And this takes us back to the idea of shifting, shifting, shifting. Here I am now, here I am now, here I am now, here I am now, shift, 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 shift. Because with every thought you have, with everything you do, no matter how subtle it may seem, it changes you. Now, when we talk about the idea of change, what we are actually saying is this. Change is really nothing more than a recognition that you are now looking at now from a different point of view. The same now from a different point of view, and seeing it differently, experiencing it differently. You're not really changing ever from one thing to another thing. You're not changing into another thing. Change is simply your space-time way of experiencing the same one now eternal moment from a different point of view. That's what change is. But every change, therefore, is a complete and total change and not a partial thing. There is no such thing as a partial shift, as a partial change. Some of you may be familiar with the idea in your physics, in your quantum mechanics, that your scientists realized some time ago that, euphemistically speaking, the electrons that orbit the nucleus of the atom, to use these terms for convenience, when it changes its orbital level with the addition of energy, it does so instantaneously in what you have coined to be a quantum leap, which means the addition of energy doesn't make the electron orbiting here slowly start to widen its orbit and then suddenly be out here. No, the electron orbiting at this level, this shell, this energy level, when given additional energy, suddenly stops being here and just suddenly starts being here. There is no intervening travel that is apparent, that is observable. The quantum leap is the idea that a thing is just here, then it is just there. That is exactly what change is like. Any change you experience, and I mean literally any and all changes, is the idea of a continuous ability of your consciousness to look at the same one eternal now from variety of perspectives and experience that in what you call a space-time framework. But when you shift your perspective, you're not just changing your position within a reality. You're not just moving your chair around within the same room. You are actually in a different chair, in a different room, in a different universe, being a different person. Literally. This is not a metaphor. It's a meta-5. You are literally not the same person with every thought, every moment, now, in the time, as you say, from the beginning of this interaction to this moment, we have been countless numbers of people in countless realities. We have shifted. What you experience as continuity, as if you were the same person who was here 5 minutes ago, and now maybe you feel like a slightly different version of the same person now, 5 minutes later, is in actuality completely different people. Literally completely different people. Any continuity you experience is created in the moment, out of your agreement, your consensus reality, to create that sense of continuity. We will all agree we were probably just about the same people that arrived here tonight when we leave. But we have experienced some changes within us, but, well, we're pretty much the same people. No, you're not. Literally, you're not. And therein lies the greatest powerful key. Once you actually become fully aware of the fact that every change is a total change, then in any given moment you can actually be not only anyone you prefer to be literally, but you can recognize that that person that you are choosing to be at that moment, the person you are defining that you are at that moment, has, therefore, based on that definition, a complete and total different history than the person who was there a moment ago. It's another reality. It's another universe with its own sense of past, present, and future. When you change yourself, you change everything. Everything. So, recognizing that is very powerful because you can literally invent an entire universal experience through a recognition, a full recognition of the redefinition of who you are as a person. And know that you, the you are now, literally does not have the past that the person that was there a moment ago had or still has in their reality. You're literally a different person and can be whatever you wish. You start from zero every moment, every moment, every moment, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. You are that free. You are that powerful. That is the smallest glimpse of what it means to be an aspect, a co-creator of all that is. Get used to that. Because contact with us means learning to live in that kind of experiential reality. Every moment knowing, every moment being new, 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 new. And really feeling it, and really experiencing it, and really knowing it to be true. And thus then in the synchronicity in your life that forms the so-called continuity glue, you always experience the explosion of ecstasy. That is the renewal, the birth renewal every moment of yourself. That's what that is. That's what that ecstatic explosion is every moment of synchronicity, is the automatic renewal of your total self, your total universe, your total being every moment. That's what ecstasy is. Sound like fun? No, not really?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Now, another idea with respect to the concept of contact is to pay attention to the details, but in a very different way from the way you normally think of paying attention to details. And what we mean when we say pay attention to details is this. Each and every one of you is going to experience contact in your own unique way, even though it may seem to be a common event for many of you, and there will be a consensus reality aspect of it. Each and every one of you is going to experience contact in your own unique way because each and every one of you is a unique doorway and a unique universe. So, one of the things you will find happening when contact starts to occur is that more and more and more and more, at first, as one of the side effects of the merger of your dimension and our dimension, your frequency and our frequency, one of the side effects will be that you will find more and more that even if you are with another person experiencing exactly the same event, you will start to actually have differentiating details become more and more and more diverse. You may experience exactly the same contact in a completely different way than the person standing right next to you will experience it. One person may say, Contact with this being was with a being that was 6 feet tall and had blue skin. The person standing right next to you talking to the so-called same being may say, no, 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 it was with a being that is 3 feet tall and has gray skin. Both are correct. Because what you are experiencing is the multidimensional aspect of contact. Because we are not of one dimension, and neither are you. But you're not used to the idea of operating that way consciously yet. So one of the ways you will begin to experience, again, the multiplicity of all the different views of the same now, the holographic now, will be to have different people experience different aspects of it and then compare details, compare notes, and begin to get a bigger picture of what actually happened in the contact. So, when that occurs, and even if that starts to occur in your daily reality, which it probably will more and more, two people sharing an event, supposedly an event, which is actually two events because there's two people, will begin to find more and more divergence first before they then go back to more and more harmonization. That's just the way your consciousness will experience it first because of your space-time perspective. First, it will be more divergent, and you'll begin to experience this in more and more daily things. You may go to the store with someone. You may go to the movies with someone. You may actually walk out truly having seen two completely different movies, going, what are you talking about? That scene wasn't in that movie. Not at all. Now, I understand that there is already, of course, some of this because it's also just a matter of perspective as to how you interpret something. But I'm not talking about an interpretation. I'm actually talking about two different experiences that will have divergence to a degree where when you compare the details, when you compare the notes, you will actually come out with two completely different experiences. So radically different, you will think one or the other of you is crazy or truly was in a different theater looking at a different movie. This may begin to happen in your reality the more you allow the vibration of contact to be part of the equation of your frequency. You may begin to experience this, so I'm giving you fair warning of the symptoms. In that sense, that's why we said you may at first think you're going crazy. It's a good kind of crazy. It's all right. Don't worry about it. It's a symptom. Now, the idea of having all these divergent points of view is so you can come together then in harmony and see all the different aspects and experience all the different aspects and share all the different aspects that will give you the bigger picture of what actually happened and with what and with whom you were actually in contact. There is, in what you call on your planet, native lore, the idea of what is called the circle around the pot, the cooking pot. And if you are not familiar with it, it goes something like this. There is a pot, a large pot, into which is placed all the food. And it is prepared in this pot. People are then told to sit in a circle around the pot. Each person sitting in a circle around the pot begins to realize there are different designs on the pot going all the way around the pot. From your perspective, you will see one design. The person sitting next to you will see maybe a little bit of yours, but they will see another design next to it, and maybe a little bit of the next one. Person sitting next to them will see a little bit of theirs, maybe not so much of yours, will see their design that's facing them, and a little bit of the next one, maybe a little piece of the one beyond that. But you will not see the ones that go around the end and will not see the one opposite on the other side of the pot. You will have to rely, if you want to eat, you will have to rely on creating the whole picture, the whole message from all the symbols around the pot. And only when the big picture is understood do you get to eat. It's a game that is played in many indigenous societies to invoke the concept of cooperation and invoke the concept of respect for the different points of view because they're all valid. And if you don't validate it, no, Only this symbol, the one I'm seeing, is the correct symbol. And if you invalidate all the other symbols, you don't get the big picture and you don't get to eat. Because you can't put the picture together because you're not willing to treat all the other symbols as equally valid, even though they are very different from your own. So the idea, the exercise of experiencing the beginning of contact energy by suddenly finding yourself faced with varying, divergent, wildly different experiences in what appeared to be the same experience will give you an opportunity to really examine all the different aspects of what a thing is really made of, what an experience really contains. You are beginning to experience the holographic nature truly of all that is, the synchronistic nature of all that is, of all things being one, but expressed as many different things. So watch for it. Watch for it and play with it. Play with it when it happens. Well, that's our suggestion anyway. Up to you. Up to you. Now. Yes. And when you change the tape, of course, remember it's
We're going to have everyone take their seats again, please.
take them where? Oh, all right, very good. Because that's where we're waiting for you, in another dimension. All right, thank you. Now, what did you experience that interval of time to be, approximately?
6 minutes?
All right. It seemed long to some, short to others, precise to some, open-ended to others. Some are going, what interval? And others are saying, it's about time. Well, you see, yes, it is about time when you make it that way. Because you create time. You are creating time. When you talk about the idea of time flying, doing what you love to do, and time flying when you're having fun, understand that it's not that you're ignoring the passage of it. When you do not experience a certain interval of time, it's because you actually didn't create that amount of time. That's why doing what you love to do keeps you younger, because you literally experience less passage of time because you don't create as much. Literally. You create time. And that's why, when in that sense you become too focused, shall we say, on the minutiae of how something needs to happen in order for something else to happen, and you put together all the details in order to go from here to there to here to there or here to there. When you create more things in which something thus then needs to happen, you must create more time for all those things you have created to happen in. When you thus operate more holistically and allow yourself to experience more of the now by living in the present, you experience and create less time and allow things to happen more instantaneously because everything does exist now. It's already here. It's already now. All you have to do is allow yourself to vibrate more in accord with the idea that it is here now without expectation of outside validation. Just be in that vibration now and allow what is representative of being capable of manifesting in that now to be what needs to manifest. And interact with it in a positive way, according to the vibration you say you are choosing to be. And that's all you have to do. That's what be here now really means. Be that vibration, and everything that occurs is what needs to occur. Deal with it in the way you would deal with it if you really believed you were coming from this vibration, really were this vibration for its own sake, and then allow those things that happen, allow them to show you why they happen. to give you an opportunity to benefit in whatever way is representative of the vibrational state you say you are being. By showing you, by teaching you, that you can get everything you prefer out of anything. That happens. Let your excitement guide you in that sense into being more of yourself. Now, back to the idea of diversification and the holographic reality, and back to the idea of your tape. Many of you will find that there will be things on the tape when you listen to it the second time, the third time, the fourth time you did not hear, that you would swear were not said. But now it's on the tape. Guess it was always there? Well, not necessarily. Because this is a holographic communication. And the tape is recording holographically. And so when you are different and you listen to the tape in that state, you will hear a different conversation that's just right for you. Every single one of you will find that the tape will be just right for you. Let that diversity create the big picture that you all get what you need, exactly when you need it, exactly where you need it, exactly how you need it. That's what synchronicity is. And it works already. You don't have to make it work. Just let it work. Don't force it. Don't push it. If you force and push and think you have to make things happen, then you don't believe it's already here. It's already now. Let it happen. But what happens, use it. Without expectation that it had to happen a certain way. Use what happens in the way that it happens. Use it based on the vibration that you have created yourself to be, and thus then the relationship that you believe is appropriate to that vibration. In other words, behaviorally aligned. Not, I am a spiritual being. Darn it, why did that happen? I'm supposed to be beyond that. I'm so spiritual. Those kinds of things shouldn't be happening in my life anymore. I'm supposed to be way beyond that. What's wrong with me? Something must be wrong. I must have missed something. As opposed to, I know I am a spiritual being. Oh, look at the unexpected thing that just happened. Oh joy, oh great discovery, that it should happen in an unexpected way so that I always will be surprised and gifted by all that is in discovering new things about who I am and who all that is. Thank you, in gratitude and humility. You pick, you choose. Which way do you prefer? It's up to you. No right, no wrong, no judgment. Up to you. Because remember, the darkness is its own journey and has value and validity. You don't have to prefer it. You don't have to choose. But if you don't validate it as an equal possible choice, it is that invalidation that puts you squarely in the vibration of experiencing it. Because you become like it when you invalidate it. Validating the darkness gives you the freedom to choose the light. Invalidating the darkness connects you to it. So when people believe that as they become more and more spiritual, that they will no longer experience the idea or see or view in their reality any manifestations or expressions of the darkness, they're not getting the point. When you expand, when you become a greater spiritual aware being, you will experience more awareness of light and dark, because you're becoming more aware of more of all that is, and all that is has light and dark. But just because you become aware of it doesn't mean you have to prefer it, doesn't mean you have to choose it, doesn't mean you have to experience it. Because remember, the only way you experience things is by putting meaning into them, because they're neutral. Only by putting a negative meaning into something do you get a negative effect out of it. No matter how it looks. You all already know on your planet not to judge a book by its cover. Don't do that with anything else. Any situation, any circumstance, no matter how it looks, no matter how you've been taught to believe it looks, no matter how you've been taught to define it, no matter what kind of meaning you've been told to give it, you don't have to give it those meanings. You can pause, you can neutralize it, you can decide what meaning to give it, and you can get a different effect out of the very same appearing thing. Guaranteed. All of this is part and parcel of learning more about who it is you are that will be the people with whom we will actually be having contact. I'll put this another way. Understand. We are having contact right now with some version of you. The idea of what you experience as the time frame of building up toward the day of contact is simply your willingness to become more and more the person we're already having contact with in my reality. I'm already having contact with some version of you. It's up to you as to when you realize you can be that version and experience the contact we're already having. It is as simple as that. So everything we are saying is to entice you, to encourage you, to allow you to become literally more conductive in becoming that you, the you that is more aligned with who you know yourself to be, the you that we are having contact with right now. Right now. It's going quite well, by the way.
What are we doing? What's the difference?
You are enjoying more. Enjoying. Literally, everything that happens, you are enjoying it. Putting joy into everything that occurs. You are filling every moment with joy in your lives. There is nothing that you do that is not being enjoyed by you. Make sense? You are literally in a state of being willing to allow everything to be capable of being filled with joy. It is a profoundly lovely experience. Lovely. You have allowed yourselves to truly understand what it is to be unconditionally loving and to appreciate and validate all the diversity and recognize that in the validation of all the differences comes true unity. Not in homogenization, but in validation of all the differences comes true unification. That is what all of the versions of you that we are interacting with have come to realize. Literally, real eyes. Now, there are, of course, other kinds of interactions going on, other beings involved in the interactions. There is, in a sense, I'll just put it this way, a kind of a schedule about who exactly you will be having contact with first, second, third, fourth. There is a reason for these. We will not go deeply into this right this moment. But the idea, again, has to do with acclimatization, reflection of who it is you are at any given moment, what it is the contact with a specific group of beings is reflective of in terms of what it is you are creating for your part of that contact and what it is you need to learn about yourselves in that contact. So in that sense, there is some rhyme and reason to it, but we allow it to happen synchronistically. In that sense, it's not really a plan, and that is why I use the term schedule euphemistically. But we recognize there is a natural timing to who you will encounter and when you will encounter them as it relates to your time frame. We will not be the first that you will encounter more openly. We will be nowhere near the last, but we will not be the first.
Who will be?
I can't tell you that.
I see them. They're Zeta. Zeta Reticuli.
No.
Oh, that's the alternate.
When we talk about the idea of the beings you refer to as Zeta or Gray, they are not directly involved in the contact scenario we are discussing. They are, in some senses, parallel to it and outside of it, because they are not truly extraterrestrial.
How about the dolphin?
One moment. You're already having contact there. What we are talking about is contact with groups from what you euphemistically refer to as the alliance, the association, the federation, as we know it. What you call the beings of Zeta or Gray do not belong to it. And the reason that we say they are not technically extraterrestrial is this. And of course, we recognize there are many different factions of beings that you have lumped into one label, gray. There are actually many different kinds of so-called gray beings that have many different kinds of agendas. But the ones that you are referring to in that sense, that are connected to what you have labeled in your reality, the abduction phenomenology, or detainment phenomenology or experience, come from a parallel reality, and they are actually mutated humans. They come from a parallel Earth that destroyed itself. In attempting to survive, they mutated. The mutation prevented them from replicating and continuing their species. The only way to do that was to find viable human DNA again, which was no longer present in their reality. So they came into yours to find it. The reason they came into yours is because they are from a parallel Earth in which many of the family lines are almost identical to what's going on in your parallel Earth. So they are literally drawing from their own families in a very similar parallel reality to reinvigorate their species with your DNA and create a new hybrid race that will perpetuate their race. In that sense, they are simply altered humans. Now, the fact that they have a technology that allows them to exist on other planets and so on and so forth makes them, in that sense, technically extraterrestrial, and they have bases in the Zeta star system, the reticulum star system, and so forth, and that is why some of these appellations have been tied to them. But primarily, that one group is a parallel time track reality interaction and has nothing to do with the idea of the quarantine, the prime directive, the hands-off policy, or the Federation as you know it in this reality. Does that help you? All right. Now, Therefore, those that you will encounter first, which we cannot talk to you about right now, don't want to unwrap the presents, spoil the surprises, spill the beans, let the cat out of the bag. However, I may have just done so. Will be some of those you have interacted with on individual levels already. Understand that the idea of contact, of course, has from time to time taken place around your planet with different individuals, different societies, and different cultures. It's just that there has been mostly a hands-off policy for quite some time en masse. That doesn't mean there haven't been some individualized contacts. In that you are interacting with your cetaceans, many of you do recognize that some of the initial contacts in the open policy will be with beings from Sirius, because you know there are already energetic connections from the cetaceans to the Sirian energy. And we can talk about that. But there are still some surprises you don't know about. And we will have fun watching you be surprised. Because I already had fun watching you be surprised. So I know how much fun it will also be. Such as being a multidimensional consciousness. You can know how much fun something will be because it's already been fun, and still you can feel that it will be fun when it happens, even though it's already happened. And is happening now. And is fun right now. And will be fun again. And was fun before. You see, that's why everything is just always fun. Is because you live in that one now eternal moment, learn to live in it more and more and more, learn to experience the one now eternal moment more and more and more, and when you allow that one now eternal moment to just simply be the vibration of joy, of love, of fun, then it doesn't matter from what perspective you view it, it's all fun. It's all another fun, unexpected, joyful, surprising perspective that brings you new understanding of all that is, and thus, of course, yourself as an aspect of it. Now, listen. Listen. Listen to nature. Because believe me, nature is already having open contact. And the birds that sing, and the trees themselves, and all of the earth gives off a vibration. And the vibration and the songs and the sounds the animals make sometimes are actually a response to contact with other intelligences in other dimensions and other realities. And you can actually eavesdrop if you want to the ongoing communication that sometimes you may not be aware of in your own human mentality, but when you begin sometimes to simply fall under the spell of nature, the sounds of the wind, the sounds of the animals, the sounds and feelings of the trees and plants and flowers, you are actually listening in to dialogues going on other levels of reality, other dimensions of being, both outwardly and inwardly. Because there are many dimensions in both directions, an infinite number actually. So listen. Just listen. Sort of sounds like the signals you are used to hearing from space. Just listen. By tuning in, you will find yourself capable of downloading snippets that will then translate through your brain into your human personality in a way that works for you, to allow your imagination to be inspired to use what you get in a specific way that is reflective of your particular personal excitement. Did you get all that? All right. You got it all. Know that you got it all. And when you listen, understand there are many, many, many things that you're actually listening to that you may not be aware of. But what you need to be aware of, you will be. And you will know it when you need to know it. Not a moment sooner than you need to know it, but not a moment later than you need to know it. Trust timing, not time. Trust timing, not time. Time is an illusion, but timing is using the power of the illusion. Here is the great dichotomy and the great shift you are actually making thematically in preparing for contact with yourselves and with others. You are actually shifting, and this sums up your entire transitional age. You are shifting from a perspective of buying into the illusion of power and shifting to the power of the illusion. You are no longer buying into the illusion of power, but you are shifting into using the power of the illusion. That is what your new age is all about. The power of the illusion and no longer the illusion of power. That one recognition will make all the difference in your world and in your view and in your experience and in your hearts and in your minds, in your souls, in your spirit. That one recognition alone. Learning the discernment, learning the difference between the illusion of power and the power of the illusion will transform your world in ways that are beyond magical. Listen. Listen. I believe Sirius speaks. Do you not call it the dog star? All right. Just listen. There are no accidents. Timing is everything. Literally, timing is everything. That's it. That's all everything is. Timing. That's all your experiences are. Orchestrations. Timing. Of different perspectives of all that is, interacting with itself in all the ways it can. That's what each of you are. That's what each of us are. All the different ways all that is has of experience itself. Timing. Relationship. Timing. Would you like to explore on this subject then of preparation for contact more questions? All right, then you may begin however you wish with your questions.
Bashar,
Yes.
we'd like to ask you to go to the microphone if you want to ask the question.
So, you have to ask Mike's permission.
Hi, Mike.
Then you may speak your question.
Aloha, Bashar.
And to you, good day, or if you prefer, aloha.
Thank you. That listen and what you're listening here, that peeping is invasive species, they call it.
Invasive.
You,
Ooh, sounds like what you call one of your old-fashioned science fiction movies.
Bashar, I live in a really peaceful neighborhood,
Yes.
and those frogs are like coming,
The
and
frogs are coming.
it's really funny that you say, listen, listen, listen.
Yes.
They are so loud.
Yes.
You,
But are you actually listening?
you can't get away from it.
No, no, no. I'm not asking you if you're hearing them. I'm saying, are you listening? Listening is not hearing. Hearing is just getting the sound and recognizing and registering the sound. Listening is a completely different art.
I felt like I was in an ocean when I
Yes.
listened to them.
And?
It's deep.
And do you like that feeling?
No, I like going back away from the ocean up in
Why?
It's a lot of energy coming. They're like a demanding noise. It's
A
all
demanding noise.
like they're demanding attention.
You mean like you?
I don't think I'm that persistent.
What we are talking about is the idea that many of you have experiences in life that translate into experiences and issues that require integration. And the concept very often that is prevalent in many themes experienced by many of you on your planet is the concept of not being heard, being invalidated, being discounted somewhere in your life, and thus feeling that the only way thus then to be counted, to be heard, is to demand attention. The frogs, in that sense, are putting you in touch with that idea, but from a perspective that allows you to deal with whatever discomfort you might have about what beliefs you might have been fed with regard to the concept of validation. Do you understand?
I'm not getting that with the frogs.
All right, let's go back to the beginning. Why do you experience them as a demanding noise? What are they demanding from you? Or of you? What do you feel is the demanding element or component?
The sound, the volume, the vibration,
Why do you interpret that with the word demanding?
because it's so loud. It's not like crickets.
But why is that interpreted by you as demanding as opposed to simply loud? There is some quality that you are assigning to it that is translating as demanding. Why choose that quality? Why are you perceiving that loud noise as demanding as opposed to anything else you could have called it? Why that word?
Because
Why
I
that
have to
concept?
consciously like ignore it or something.
What does it demand of you?
My peace.
It demands your peace.
Yeah, something like that. You know, it's like changing the whole environment where it was once peaceful. It's like this noise is there, and it's the loud noise. It just seems to me
Yes.
bothersome.
Yes, I know it seems to you bothersome. Is it in any way, shape, or form possible for you to assign a more positive meaning to the sound?
Well, that was funny that you said listen, listen. It's like those are the ETs or that's the contact. I could listen to a lot of parts of nature, but those guys I just want to turn off.
All right. Does the idea that if you listen to them in a different way make a difference? Does the idea that if you listen to them with the idea, with the ear, that you might actually be able to hear something in there that you actually want to know, give you an opportunity to listen differently to the sound?
I think I could listen to them better if they weren't so loud.
What we are saying is this: if you listen to them differently, they won't appear to be so loud.
I hear what you're saying,
But you don't believe it's possible?
and I'm gonna give it a try.
That won't work. That won't work. What, in your definition, makes it seem so difficult to believe that if you listen to them differently, it will not affect you in the same way? They will not grate upon you in the way that they seem to be grating upon you now. What is difficult about believing that that's possible?
It's hard to imagine being peaceful. I'm choosing to have that be difficult, to imagine that being a peaceful, quiet sound.
All right.
You know?
Why are you choosing for that to be a difficult concept?
It's a great
How does it
question.
serve you? How does it serve you to choose for that to be a difficult concept? You are getting to the core of it. Very good. How does it serve you to choose to maintain that that's a difficult concept to believe in?
It's an opportunity to learn how to do something new.
But how does it serve you to not believe you can do it? You're saying you're having difficulty believing that that can be done. How does it serve you to believe that?
Well, like I said, now I could choose something else and choose it as an opportunity. So it's
You're
serving me
missing
to
the
choose.
point.
Serving
You're
me to
missing the
choose.
point. I know you can do that, and it is in that sense positive that you know you can do that. But the first thing you said was that when I suggested you could listen to them differently and that would actually change your experience of the sound, you said, well, I'll give it a try, but in that sense, you actually doubted it could be done. How does it serve you to believe that it cannot be done? How does it serve you to doubt you can do it?
I'll have to think about that.
All right.
I can't.
Learning the answer to that question will make all the difference in your experience. Ask yourself and explore, how does it serve me to believe that I doubt it can be done? That's the question you need to work with and see what comes up. When you find an answer to that, you will have really found some insight into yourself.
Thank
All right?
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aloha, Bashar.
And you good day.
On this, in speaking about the different dimensional ideas,
Yes.
I had an experience about 18 years ago where I was under the spell of nature,
Under the spell of nature.
and I became aware of another light source in the sky
Yes.
that I believe was something that is ordinarily outside of our range of perception.
All right.
It was blue-white.
Yes, well, of course, one of the symptomologies of expansion is an increased sensitivity to higher vibrations you would heretofore not be capable of perceiving. So that, and again, is par for the course.
So is there a star in close proximity to Earth that we are usually not aware of?
Not in your physical reality, but in other dimensions, yes.
Yes. And the light from this, how does it affect us?
It offers you a higher vibration to aspire to and match. It offers you an opportunity for a glimpse into a higher dimensional frequency that you can create in your own field of energy and then benefit from if you wish.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And are felines aware of this?
They are. Felines are extremely adept at interdimensional perception.
Okay. Is this a phenomena that we're going to become more aware of in the future?
Being able to perceive things that heretofore you could not?
Right.
Yes. That's one of the symptomologies. That's one of the side effects of increasing your vibration, is seeing things that are here that heretofore you were incapable of perceiving. This will extend even more and more into the idea of what you call the spirit realm. In time, you will be able to converse with spirits as easily as you converse with your physical neighbors, because you will be able to truly perceive them. You understand?
Yes.
In our reality, it is not uncommon for someone to be talking with spirits. in time it will not be an uncommon thing on Earth. And the idea of the so-called transition you call death will have no meaning at all. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Bashar.
And you good day.
I was hoping you could expand a little bit on something that you had mentioned earlier. At the beginning of the talk here, you were suggesting to be aware of our fears.
Yes.
And, as you were going through the presentation, something came to my mind that I identified as a fear of mine, and I'm hoping you can...
By all means, share, if you
okay.
are willing.
Well, yeah. So I guess just the idea of the loss of continuity that we're all so familiar with.
Yes.
The idea of, experiencing, and I think, well, I've certainly experienced it, probably a lot of other people have the idea of, what you were talking about with two people witnessing, quote unquote, the same event.
Yes.
And having different experiences of it. And
Yes.
it's very,
Disconcerting?
that was exactly the word I was going to use. And that, as well as the idea of the constant new now.
Yes. All right. Well,
so, yeah.
understand. You will adapt to this in your own pace.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to rush upon you.
Okay.
You will experience a taste, and then you'll process it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll learn that I like this flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have a little more of a taste, and then you'll process it. And then you will get to like that, and you'll have more and more and more. It will happen in your own comfort zone.
Hmm.
There is no point to it happening outside your comfort zone, because if it did, there would be no processing and no integration. So the idea of the experience will happen at whatever pace and whatever manner your imaginations are attuned to that work best for you, whatever methodology works best for you. Otherwise, what would be the point?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Completely.
Does that put you at ease?
Actually, it does. The fear is quelled.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
This is the point of making a friend of your fear. Find out what the fear is there to tell you, because it's only there to tell you that there is a belief system or a definition that you are flowing your energy through that is somehow out of alignment with your true self. That's what the fear is for. So fear is a messenger putting you in touch with something that doesn't work for you so that you can change it if you prefer. That's why you must own the fear and never ignore it. And in fact, you can even amplify it and invite it in, because as soon as you use it in a positive way, it's no longer experienced as fear. It's experienced as a message. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Does that help?
that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ni hao, Bashir.
Oh, and to you, good day.
What is the best way? I understand that one of the major impediments to contact is our collective inability to get along with each other on a worldwide basis. What is the best way for those of us who are starting to get it to share the message and help uplift humanity to the greatness that we already really are?
You can share whatever information you want, but the best way is to be a living example of the kind of reality that you prefer to live in.
Okay.
Then others are given the choice to decide to match that frequency and behavior or not. Those that do not will ultimately not necessarily continue to appear in your reality of choice.
Okay.
So in that sense, it doesn't matter whether they choose it or not. They don't have to change for you to have the reality you want to experience. But you can be a living example of what that reality is like, so that if they then do decide they wish to match that frequency, they have an example that they can take from.
Thank you.
Does that help you? Yes. Following your excitement as best you can every moment in whatever opportunity contains the highest excitement, in that sense, is the so-called best way to do that. All right?
Is everything made manifest by...
One moment. What happened to hello?
Hello. Hello and aloha.
And to you, good day.
Is everything made manifest by intention? And is love an intention?
Love, in its basic form, is your translation of the vibration of creation itself. Manifestation is in some sense the result of intention, although expectation can cloud the idea of what you think your intention is supposed to manifest. So you have to have discernment about whether or not you are imposing expectation on intention. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I need to work with that for a little bit, but
Well, in other words, intention is literally creating a state of being, an intention, not in a negative sense, but the holding of a place. You understand? Intention is the holding of a space in a sacred way to allow a manifestation to be realized in that space. Placing expectation on it is like imposing a structure that says if the manifestation does not occur exactly in this way, in exactly this form, it will not be valid. That is the invalidation that allows the manifestation not to occur. Does that make sense?
yeah, exactly.
Does that help?
Very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Aloha, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Ariel here.
Oh, all right. Bashar here.
I would like to ask you what the probable timing is for our hybrid children to be present here in the physical on this planet.
The most likely window will be the secondary one that we spoke of, though there will be some beginning, limited interaction on Earth of some of the hybrid children in the first window. But the second window is more likely for more open experience of those kinds of interactions. The first window being 2015 to 2025, the second window being 2025 to 2033. That's as we read your energy now. Things could change a bit, but those are the most likely windows based on the energy we read in the collective society right now. That means on Earth. Many people have already begun interaction with hybrid children in dream states, out of body, in other dimensions, on ships and other planets. On Earth, the windows are, for now, as I have defined, in general. Some limited, 2015, 2025, more expanded, more open, 2025 to 2033. Does that answer your question
Yes.
sufficiently?
I want to know, will they still be children?
Yes, because time for them is not what it is for you. They will be introduced into your time stream in the appropriate timing as children requiring instruction and education. Make sense?
They will be requiring instruction? and
Yes, they
education?
will.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Aloha, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you. What are the fundamental economic principles that work in your culture, and what types of changes, if any, we shall make to integrate ourselves into the interstellar or interdimensional economic system?
There isn't one. The idea is that eventually you will allow the same thing on your planet, not right away, but eventually. You will have the same understanding that our ability to access what you call unlimited energy and manifest and create unlimited resources makes what you would typically refer to on your planet as an economy unnecessary. The idea simply is that we are where we need to be, when we need to be there, interacting with exactly whom we need to interact with, and having and getting and receiving and giving exactly what we need when we need it. Automatically, effortlessly, spontaneously, as an orchestration we don't even think about. In other words, if there is someone that requires something, they will automatically meet exactly the person or people or group that has what it is they need, and they will have exactly what that person or people or group needs in return for an exchange, if even such an exchange is required. And it happens automatically, all the time, on our world. Does that make sense?
It's exactly as I am practicing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, this does not invalidate that money is one of the ways on your planet you have of expressing the concept of abundance, but it is not the only way. And sometimes it's not even the most efficient way. Our definition of abundance and what it is I have just described to you in terms of how our society functions is simply as follows. Abundance, in whatever form it comes, is simply the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. That's it. That's abundance. If it comes sometimes in the form on your planet that is called money, so be it. It's valid. But often it can simply come in a variety of other ways, and insisting on it only coming one way will actually close the doors to all the other ways that might actually come more effortlessly. So be open to all the forms of abundance, because abundance is simply the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Period. That's abundance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings again, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Greetings to Ilan and Ely.
All right.
I send my love. This is completely awkward. This is a microphone. This is this format feels uncomfortable to me.
Why?
Well, it's so different than what we have experienced so far.
Where?
My experience with nature,
Yes.
and what I had validated for myself,
Yes.
is that the contact that I have already
Yes.
is extraterrestrial,
Yes.
and that there is no outside.
There isn't.
It's right here, right now.
It is.
And
But there are many ways to express the here and now, are there
Yes.
not?
yes,
And all are valid, are they not?
yes,
Including microphones.
yes.
Thank you.
I don't choose it, but that's all right.
That's all
it's a way
right.
to communicate.
That's all right.
And I also know that I create versions of you, Ely, Ilan, whatever I choose,
Yes.
in different aspects of nature, through
Yes.
rock formations,
Yes.
through nature.
Yes.
You know, it's the shaman within
Yes.
me,
Yes.
which gets me to that point. In fact, that we all have this ability to be one with Earth, and no longer do we need to separate it, to think that we need to be an indigenous tribe of people, well, labeled that way,
Yes.
that we all can understand.
Yes.
And I am deciding in this moment that I want to initiate that fact.
All right. Go
that
ahead.
All people, everyone, are Earth people, and they have the ability to see and listen and hear.
They do.
Listen within nature.
They do.
All right.
Because they are nature.
Yes.
So all they have to do is listen to themselves.
Yes. So that is it, and
Thank you.
I understand that, and I want to thank you, because that relationship between that version of the human, which we could label is, as an indigenous connection, and the connection with the dolphin,
Yes.
cetacean,
Yes.
sister, brother,
Yes.
family,
Yes.
is just merging. There's the
Yes.
bridge. So I will ask you that one question about that bridge.
Yes.
I was snorkeling today, and I found it difficult to snorkel. I was watching the other people, and we look silly. We have flippers on our feet. We have these goggles on our face.
It's all right
And
to
it-
provide a little entertainment for the cetaceans.
Exactly. That's what I thought. And I had this funny image of a dolphin, walking on land, and how almost cartoon-like.
Yes.
So we live in our own, spaces, and
Yes.
that bridge between the two, I don't know what that means, but
Well, the bridge
I trust that I do.
is precious. The bridge is what gives you the opportunity to recognize both the similarity and the difference and honor them both. That's what the bridge is. It is the ability in space-time to honor the process of creation as well as the instantaneous manifestation of it. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
The bridge is the ability to develop communication between something that is already one and the same. Yet you can still experience it as different and reach out and extend to each other and create that process and experience of creation. And that is a beautiful gift.
Yes.
That's what the bridge is.
So
From
can I-
our perspective, anyway.
Yes. Can we touch on tomorrow's event? That, may I ask about Dreamer Dolphin Consciousness? and
Certainly.
Will these individuals be part of this pod?
Yes,
Wonderful.
we will have some communication from Dreamer tomorrow of your time.
Wonderful. And I,
By the way, those that may not be familiar, Dreamer is a name we have given to a large bottlenose dolphin in your ocean who acts as a go-between and an ambassador for cetaceans and humans and extraterrestrials. So Dreamer will be heard from tomorrow of your time as you count time to exist.
wonderful. So I will ask that question tomorrow night.
You do not need to.
Understood, but maybe I need to validate it for myself in physical reality.
It will be validated. But thank you.
I love you, and thank you.
Our unconditional love to you as well.
See you later.
See you now.
Tonight.
Hello, Bashar.
I know you. Good day.
Thank you so much for being here in the now.
I am not there, but I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask about the bridge.
The same bridge we just spoke of?
Yes.
All right.
And it feels to me that we're ready in the now on Earth, that the bridges are being built.
Yes.
And we're co-creating them.
Yes.
And it feels like there's an infinite number of bridges.
There are.
Okay.
Or certainly an infinite number of probable bridges.
So divine intelligence herself
Yes.
is orchestrating.
She's a pip, isn't she?
So she's orchestrating this.
No.
Okay.
No. Except orchestrating as through you. On the level of divine intelligence that is its own oneness, it doesn't orchestrate anything. Divine intelligence only orchestrates through the aspects that are, in that sense, designed as orchestrators. Does that make sense? That which is everything doesn't need to orchestrate anything from the level on which it is everything. The only level on which it orchestrates is the level in which the components of all that is don't necessarily immediately experience themselves as all that is in totality. Then there can be orchestration, and that can be the divine orchestration, orchestrating herself through the components she has created herself to be.
But she is becoming aware of herself in the human form.
Yes.
At this time.
And so? How is that a contradiction?
So once she's aware and awake and living as this form fully,
Yes.
I feel like saying, well, what's next?
More. Other experiences of the self. Some of which you do not have the capacity to imagine because you're not of that vibration yet. But there will always be more. It never ends. Ever. It's infinite. It is simultaneously and paradoxically already all it can be and always becoming more. Not this or that, this and that. That's what it means to be all that is. Anything you can imagine is somewhere being experienced as a reality by all that is. Anything you can imagine. And even if you can't imagine it, there are realities beyond what you can imagine now. and more experience and more experience and more experience to be had. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and I feel that this form has a bridge to you and your planet, and I just want to cross it all the time, and it makes me so happy, and I'm very, very grateful for this bridge. So I just want...
Well, thank you for your co-creation of it.
Thank
For if you did not co-create it, you could not cross it.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love you.
Our unconditional love to you as well. More magic. Do you wish to stand up and stretch again? 'Tis up to you, or down to you. Are you prepared? Yes, we're ready. One moment. We thought we would allow you to eavesdrop in an interesting and different way on the understanding that there are other conversations going on that we are having with other civilizations right now. And thus, through the channel's body, you are seeing a representation of the fluctuations of energy that are representative of all the different connections we are creating within our own consciousness to represent the kind of information that we need to bring through in our conversation with this other species on another planet. So understand that we are having 27 different conversations with different civilizations as we are now conversing with yours. Do you understand? All right. Do you wish to continue? All right. By all means.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I was wondering if you could speak about the birds and...
Which birds would that be? Just birds in general?
Well, not necessarily the earth birds, but the birds that have been visiting me. And if they're playing, what role they have as far as in this contact, or are they part of the Federation? Or are these
in what context do you define them? In what way do you perceive them?
Perceive them with a lot of energy.
No, I mean literally.
Literally?
Do you have a literal physical description
Yes.
that you perceive?
Yes.
Define it, describe it.
Okay, there's few kinds. One is sort of hawk eagle-like.
Yes.
Very electrical high voltage energy. Another one has multicolored eyes, kind of looks more like a parrot.
All right.
Those are the two. Then, well, there's lots. There's owls.
All right. Do they, in your context, manifest themselves in any physiological way, or do you perceive this mostly as energy manifestations?
I perceive it in the dream state.
Oh, all right. One moment. You are interacting in that sense with manifestations of spirit, some of which contain amalgamations of different kinds of energy. The owls, in that sense, may contain amalgamations of extraterrestrial consciousness. The eagle, in that sense, may be more directed with a little bit of a connection to what might be called other dimensional, otherworldly, extraterrestrial consciousness, but mostly maybe a manifestation of communication with spirit beings. One moment. The parrot, in that sense, is a manifestation to some degree of what might be called euphemistically one of your own personal spirit guides. They are manifesting in this way because you relate to it in a specific way that you would not relate to any other image. And thus the way you relate to the presentation of birds will allow for a different kind of relationship, a different kind of interpretation, a different kind of integration of the information that is being, in that sense, shared with you in those states, in those out-of-body, other-dimensional states. And you are also putting some physiological interpretation on what you are experiencing of those spirits when you reintegrate into the idea of physical perception. The idea of what their energy represents to you sometimes is most easily translated by your mind as bird forms, because they represent higher planes in which you feel your spirit soaring, and translate that into the idea of flying in physical reality, which is represented most often by the idea of bird forms. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You are welcome. Pleasant dreams. Happy flying.
Hi, Bashar.
Yes.
When you were talking about the hybrid children,
Yes.
and you mentioned that instruction, that we would be giving instruction to them.
Yes.
Can you describe a little more the kind of instruction that we would be giving?
Acclimatization into the idea of Earth society. How to get along on Earth with humans.
I was also getting this feeling like, in a way, that they're less intimidating in terms of having ET contact.
In some senses, but it will not matter to the people who will actually be interacting with them. The people who will be interacting with them will not be intimidated.
Right. So is part of their purpose in interacting with us to act as a bridge to help the planet be able to have interaction with other ET groups?
Yes.
In a feel more comfortable about doing that?
Yes, that's part of it.
Okay.
And also to help them acclimatize to the idea of interacting with alien species as well. Aliens called humans.
Right. Okay. So I'm getting a clearer picture of that.
All right.
And the other question was about an encounter I had with a pilot whale.
Yes.
And I'm still attempting to integrate the whole experience, but I was wondering about the difference between the pilot whale energy. I know I felt some fear momentarily.
All right, well, you know I am a pilot, yes?
Well, I thought... Yes.
So it was an opportunity for you, as you just outlined with regard to the hybrid children, for you to feel a little bit less intimidated by an encounter with an extraterrestrial consciousness, an alien consciousness in a sense that is representative of pilot energy, but in a way that you could relate to and integrate more easily. Even though you allowed yourself to still feel a little bit of the apprehension, it was done in a way to make it less intimidating and get you more acclimatized to other versions of that idea of encountering something that has that energy.
Oh, okay, because it was definitely a step up
Oh,
from
yes.
the dolphins.
Oh, yes.
But I also noticed that the males were, like, that's where I felt the fear. I didn't feel it with the females.
I understand. But you're dealing with the idea in that sense of relating to a male energy alien pilot.
Oh.
And so you're using that idea, what we have called and referred to in that sense as the presentation of this personality, which is an amalgamation of many things to act as a mask, to give you something to relate to, but it vibrationally acts as an acclimatization tool to get used to our energy.
Okay, because, yeah, the males felt like I didn't know what they would do. I felt more...
And you never know what we're going to do.
But I felt... But
that is actually part of the apprehension.
Oh.
You never know what we're going to do because we live absolutely spontaneously in total faith with that spontaneity. And therefore we understand that on Earth that can cause, with old belief systems, apprehension. Because the idea of total spontaneity and trust in total spontaneity feels still, to some of your old belief systems in general, to be something that is akin to being out of control, chaotic.
Well, one thing that was presented to us was that the males were functioning as protectors, and yet the females were with babies.
No. They are not in that sense so much functioning as protectors, but they are defining the parameters of the energy bubble of the pod.
Oh.
Does that make sense to you in your language?
Yes, and that's a way to redefine it so that whatever they would do would not seem scary. In other words, that they're acting as containers.
Yes.
As opposed to the idea that they're acting as defenders.
Yes. They are defining a border. They're defining a country, a territory, a reality, a bubble. Encountering even the skin of that bubble can be something that might cause a little bit of apprehension as you interphase and figure out what components in your signature vibration do in fact synchronize with what components in their signature vibration. The ones that don't immediately align will make you experience the sensation called apprehension until you figure out how to integrate that.
Right.
Then, click, you will be in sync.
Okay. And I did feel that happen.
Yes, and that was good practice. Because what you experienced with the pilot whales was about 0.1% of what you would experience right now attempting to integrate into our bubble reality.
Okay, so I appreciate the practice.
Oh yes, you'll get some more opportunity.
Okay, great. Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you. That's one thing. Again, the cetacean consciousness on your planet is so beautifully doing, is giving you an opportunity to practice interaction with, in that sense, extraterrestrial consciousness, because they are fully involved and fully engaged with many different levels of dimensional interaction and consciousness, and they are on your own planet, right beside you, another society sharing your space in that sense, that you can interact with and that are more than willing to have you interact with them, to allow you to begin to share with them the same joy they experience in forming links to other beings as well. So they are very good teachers for the idea of interaction and open contact with other civilizations. Take advantage of it. Go and play with them. Shivai. We will, at this moment, extend to each and every one of you our deep appreciation in the co-creation of this perfect bubble, a new reality in which we have created the experience of contact, and which now, as a bubble, can expand and expand and expand to include more expressions of interaction and contact and relationship. So we thank you for the journey you are willing to take with us, our unconditional love to you. We will continue this transmission tomorrow of your time. Good day. How did it go?
Great.
Thank you all for being here tonight very much. Appreciate it. I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? How are you all? Thank you. Must always make sure there is someone on the other end of this transmission. Now, we recognize that you have all been sharing your communication with dolphin consciousness, and we would like to continue that a little bit from our perspective. But first, before we begin with that subject, didgeridoo player. Good day. We have a suggestion. If this is something you have not yet tried, you may wish to give it a spin. Yes, a spin. In the following manner. Not only will you find that if it is possible to generate the sound through the instrument while actually spinning it along its long axis, if you can make, in that sense, the mouthpiece that will allow the rest of it to be spun, the sound will come out in a very unique way and will do a very unique thing. Secondly, if you will get 9 players of the same instrument in a circle, all pointing inward, the instruments, playing into the center, leave enough space in the center for a person to sit. With 9 players around, see what happens to the person. Then, when you have experimented with 9 players and a person in the center, experiment with the idea of 10 players. So there are, in that sense, then 11 people. And then 11 players, so there are 12 people. And then 12 players, so there are 13. See what happens. All right? Have fun with it. That is our suggestion, to explore that vibration a little bit further in ways that will be indicative of some of the things, some of the applications that this instrument was used for in more ancient times, that created certain effects that are, at this point, unknown to all but the deep inner circle of those in the indigenous culture that have that instrument. Do you understand? But it is all right to share this with you now, to explore it and experiment with it. All right? All right, thank you. Now, about the dolphins. We have discussed before that, of course, many of us are in communication telepathically with many dolphins. And we have discussed before that there are, from time to time, dolphins that take upon themselves and whales that take upon themselves, shall we say, certain duties, certain positions, that wish to perform certain services that mostly have to do with acting as bridges, go-betweens, ambassadors between our consciousness and human consciousness on Earth. We have spoken before of the idea that one such dolphin we had named Dreamer, which is a large, dark gray, South Pacific bottlenose dolphin, who is, in a sense, like a dolphin ambassador, holding the energy of those communications, coordinating the energy of those communications, and, in a sense, sending the energy of those communications to many different other dolphins, whales, and people, human, on your planet. Dreamer, in that sense, therefore, is a type of channel for that energy, a conduit for that energy. Now, at this moment, Dreamer is about what you would call 3,000 of your miles south of where you are, which is exactly the distance south of you that I am now above the Great Pyramid in Cairo, 3,000 miles. We are forming a resonance, a triangle, with all of you at one corner. I am at this corner. Dreamer is at this corner. Now, this will assist in creating a certain kind of frequency modulation that will help to magnify and amplify many of the things that we are discussing within this transmission, and create a kind of doorway or gateway to another level of reality, a kind of in-between state of reality that will help you begin to tap into that space that you heretofore thought was the idea of betweenness. In other words, you have one dimension, you have another dimension, and where, in a sense, vibrationally they touch, that's a dimension unto itself. That in-betweenness, that other dimension, is also, of course, occupied by consciousness in a variety of ways. And we have touched on the idea before in these transmissions, in these conversations, that one of the inhabitants, one of the denizens of that in-between dimension that separates all the other dimensions vibrationally are what are referred to in one of your indigenous earth languages as the Kachinas. The Kachinas live, in a sense, vibrationally in that in-between dimension between all the other dimensions. Thus then they inhabit, so to speak, vibrationally, that which touches all other dimensions, but also allows all dimensions to be seen as unique. It is like they inhabit the membrane itself between two realities, and that is its own reality. And between 3 realities, and 4 realities, and 5, and an infinite number, that is the membrane they inhabit. Now, we point that out simply to allow you to understand that in the creation of this triangle, which is actually a tetrahedron, but we'll explain that in a moment, it will act to not only amplify, magnify the information in this transmission, but it will also act, as we said, as a gateway, a doorway, into that membrane of in-betweenness in such a way that it will help unlock within each and every one of you participating in this vibration more ability to access more of all that is by being in that in-between membrane which touches everything. Now, the reason that we refer to this also as a tetrahedron is that if you look at the triangle we have described between your location, my location, Dreamer's location, and see that in a sense as the base, not a side, but the base of a tetrahedron, then the apex actually stretches into the different dimensions and moves as is required to access what needs to be accessed, while the base remains constant, thus funneling all the information that the point, the apex, touches back to the base and into your dimension of reality. So it's like a big elastic tetrahedron that can stretch metaphorically, but in some senses vibrationally, literally, into different realities, into different dimensions, and act as a funnel down which will pour all the information of whatever the point of the tetrahedron pierces. Whatever that point is that represents information will then draw that information through and store it in the base for access by you at any time you wish. Does that visual image make sense to you all? All right. Now, speaking of triads, we wish to further discuss the idea of dolphins as it relates to the concept of contact and what you call extraterrestrial beings. Dreamer thus then performs another function, as do other dreamer dolphins. We have, on our planet, 3 of your dolphins. We have transported them to our planet, and there are other worlds that are compatible with dolphins from your world, and each of those has 3 dolphins. Those 3 dolphins act, again, as ambassadors, but also act as anchors, experiencing different elements, different ideas of the oceans of our world and other worlds that have oceans. And in exploring, in being explorers, aquanauts, if you wish, on other worlds, they feed all their information to each other and then back to the dreamer dolphins on your planet. So dolphins, in that sense, have reached the stars and are feeding back information that then the dreamer dolphins can, again, assimilate, coordinate, and disperse and make available to the matrix of your planet. Does that make sense to you? In exploring the oceans of our world, the dolphins on our planet, of course, encounter many different things they do not see on your planet. And in feeding that information back, create, in their experience, a star-spanning ocean that is connected by their energy. And in that sense, allow the dolphins and the whales of your world to experience directly what they are experiencing as if they were swimming in our ocean, too. Telepathically. The whales, the dolphins, the cetaceans on your planet can actually create vibrations in themselves that will allow them to shift themselves just enough so that what information does get sent back by the dolphins on our world or other worlds is actually experienced by them literally as if they were on our worlds. Very experiential. Now, you can do this too. So, when you swim with the dolphins on your planet, if you remember the triangle, picture it, feel that vibration. Know we are holding that space for you. You can then also tap into that frequency that while you are floating in that environment, in your ocean, free floating, not swimming, free floating, and tapping into that vibration, you too may, either momentarily or for extended periods of time, suddenly find yourself swimming in alien seas. Don't be scared about what you may perceive momentarily. Nothing will harm you. Again, first of all, remember it's not actually physically there, but for a moment it may seem to be. But you may see some very interesting beings that swim in our oceans and other oceans on other worlds. And you can experience this, you can share this. It can be shared with you if you wish. Thus then, once again, allowing for more acclimation, more experience, more practice with contact, with getting familiar with what you would call otherworldly vibrations, environments, atmospheres, habitations, experiences, but in a way that is like experiencing it in a soft cocoon, by suspending in your water, by being able to really absorb it gently, vibrationally, in the way that is best for you. So we offer this to you as a suggestion to take advantage of. It can be a great deal of fun. Now, there may come a time then, if you do this, where you can perhaps then share at some point what it is you experienced. and perhaps we can be of some assistance in the future in describing exactly what you were seeing and on what world it is. But for the moment, just enjoy what you see, what you experience, what you feel. You don't have to see anything, you can just feel it. It might come visually, it might come auditorily, it might just come as a feeling. But you are open to that idea, and it is open to you. So by all means, use it if you wish. Swim in our seas. Now, one moment. One moment. One moment. One moment. If you wish, when doing this, to specifically key into the vibration of the 3 dolphins on our world, while in your ocean, understanding, of course, that these are not literally names, but they are representative of vibrations that will key you into them, you may use as a key, as a mechanism, to connect, to harmonize, to empathize, synchronize with their vibrations, the 3 dolphins on our world, as well as Dreamer on yours. Use Dreamer for the dolphin on your planet. Use Rose for 1 dolphin on our world. Rose. Use August for another dolphin on our world. August. One moment. The third prefers, and of course, you may not be able to do this physically in your water while you are floating, but you can think it in your mind, you can hear it in your mind. The third prefers a whistle. So, you can just make a whistle in your mind, like a dolphin whistle, and it will connect. If you think of our world and the dolphin and make a whistle, it will connect in your mind. All right? So, if you also wish, you can even just use the term itself, and so call them August, Rose, and Whistle. That will work as well. Now, understand that vibrationally, they have done something that is very typical of dolphins in doing this. They have represented vibrations that have a coded meaning. If you'll understand that the names we just gave you begin with certain letters in your alphabet, you will understand that, strangely enough, the beginning letters actually spell war. They also do spell raw, but they spell war. This will always simply be a reminder that a vibration of love can always be corrupted into war. And as you reach out to them, allow yourself to recognize that one of the reasons that they are doing what they are doing is they are acting as spiritual warriors on behalf of your planet, and thus then warrior in the positive sense. So, think of them as spiritual warriors, going boldly where no dolphin has gone before. Now, Now that we have established that link, let us continue with a different idea and a different question from the question that we asked in the first part of the transmission, which was, why do you want contact? And we discussed aspects of that. And we assume that some of you may have continued to ponder that in your own free time, which is all well and good, and you may always, by all means, continue to do so. We now choose to ask another question. And again, we ask you to dig deep and not be afraid to answer within yourselves. Do you have any fear at all of any kind about contact with extraterrestrial beings? And if so, what is that fear, or are those fears? Go deep now within yourself and just explore. Do you have any fear of any kind? Doesn't have to be about the extraterrestrial. Is there any fear associated within you at all with respect to the concept of open contact with us? Meaning all of us. Go inward, take a moment, close your eyes if you wish, take a deep breath, and explore that idea if there are any fears whatsoever about contact associated to the idea and concept of contact on your planet being open. Take a moment. Breathe deep. Does anyone have a fear they wish to share about contact? Yes.
The one concern I would have about the vibrational differences, step down, step up sort of thing, would we be able to handle that type of proximity?
All right. The idea of the differences in vibration will not be an issue because we will not expose you to a vibration you are not ready for. You will very quickly tell us within your own frequency what you are truly capable of handling. And we will never in that sense come closer than you can handle. You understand? You may feel a moment of apprehension, but as soon as you do, we will back off until you are comfortable with furthering the vibration. So you do not have to really be concerned about that. Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
All right. Are there any other fears that come up for anyone? All right.
I am looking to, this is what came up for me today in the dolphin swim.
Yes.
Was the word surrender.
Surrender.
Surrender kept coming to me.
Yes.
So when you ask this question, what comes to me, and I surrendered to this point in fact, is that it is not so much the abstract beings that there is so much fear. I am more afraid of the humanoid figure extraterrestrial.
Why?
Because they are mirrors and they're reflecting my dark nature within myself.
And what are you afraid to face about your own dark nature?
Exactly. And I surrender to that point in fact that I believe it's my own power.
What are you afraid of about your own power?
Nothing. Nothing at all. I don't know in this moment.
All right. You may examine that and explore that further then, in your own time. All right?
That's only validating my fear.
Why is it validating your fear?
Because not to deny any emotional values that I have in this conversation
Yes.
with this subject.
Yes.
Because what I've learned today, and this is my surrendering, that I don't require contact.
None of you require
Exactly.
contact.
And I don't need it. I can continue with the love that I have and the life
Yes.
that I have.
And what does this have to do with your fear?
Exactly. I don't know. Nothing.
Of course it does. You brought it up. There is obviously a connection. What is your fear? Stick to the basics. What is your fear with regard to this concept of surrender or with the concept of contact? What is the fear you first found?
The first fear is the shocking moment.
All right, but why is that a fear?
Because it's shocking. It's different. Why
So
is that
the fear is about experiencing something different? Is that what you are saying?
Yes,
Have you never experienced anything different without being afraid of it?
I have.
Why is this so different as a difference?
I agree.
Answer the question. Why is it so different as a difference?
It is not different.
But you are making it different.
Yes, I am.
Why? Why are you making this difference different than all other differences?
I don't know. I think I'm reflecting.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Why?
This is fascinating to me.
Why? What do you think will happen with that shock, with that difference? What do you think will come with that shock, with that difference? What is the worst thing you imagine might occur?
It is not about death. It is not about anything.
There is something, or you wouldn't have brought it up.
Exactly.
So what is it?
I don't think it's there.
It is there.
It is.
Yes.
And you're sensing that.
What is the worst thing you imagine might happen?
I'll just continue this because I don't know in this moment.
On your own. All right. That's why we said ponder it on your own.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Anyone else? Yes, I do. All right. What is your fear of contact?
My fear that I would like to clear in this moment is that I would fear, the fear that I would have or possibly could have is that if I felt it wasn't, the entity was not of a benevolent feeling and fear would come up, I would feel that I would be taken over.
All right. Now, you do understand that when we are referring to the concept of contact, we are referring to the concept of contact with the benevolent species that are part and parcel of the association.
Oh, okay. In that case...
But you are stating that you are afraid to have contact with anything that might not be part of that.
Yes, only. I feel like...
All right.
I feel like I would be very... I feel like I'm ready to...
Ready for what?
I feel like I would be ready to be grounded enough. I hope and feel that I'd be grounded enough to stay in myself.
But you are not sure. And that is your fear. That you are not sure you will be.
If I knew that they were benevolent beings, then I would be sure. But
if they are, in your terms, apparently not benevolent, you will have reason to be afraid? Is that what you're saying?
If I felt... I think that if I felt fear, then I would have to trust that they're not benevolent beings.
Why?
Because otherwise I would just feel love.
Not so. Did you not already hear the explanation that if we were to come into contact with you, you might actually be very, very afraid, not because we have any intention to harm you, but because our vibration is forcing to the surface the fears you have within yourself. So all you may feel in our presence is fear, and it may have nothing to do with us, but everything to do with you. So just the idea that you feel fear in the presence of another being does not mean, by extrapolation, that that being intends you harm. It could just be a side effect of the exposure to the vibration.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
So does that definition help quell that particular perspective?
Yes, it does.
Now, with the idea that obviously it still retains in your definition the fear that the being itself may not be benevolent, let me ask you this question. Do you believe that you can still extract a positive effect from any encounter, be it human or extraterrestrial, regardless of the intention of the one interacting with you? Do you believe that?
That's a
or
very
is that
good
you
question.
doubt that and therefore that's the basis of your fear?
Well, I guess as a spiritual warrior, I would make that so. I would.
Oh, all
I would-
right. Then make it so.
Yes.
Because no matter what it is you encounter, you always have the opportunity to extract from it a positive experience.
Well, that feels good to me.
And remember that when you allow yourself to operate on a certain frequency level, you cannot attract what you are not the vibration of. In other words, to something which is what you would call a non-benevolent vibration, especially with respect to the idea of interdimensional ideas, interdimensional concepts, you would, in that sense, not attract anything that is not of the vibration you are operating on if you are operating on a vibration of acceptance and allowance.
Okay.
Because the idea of a non-benevolent entity is exactly the opposite of acceptance and allowance. Do you follow me?
Yes.
Now, this goes for the idea of human encounters as well, but of course, on Earth, you have already agreed en masse that you are capable on a daily basis, at least for right now, of encountering beings on your planet, other people on your planet, that do not exhibit the idea of the same frequency that you may prefer in your life. It is a little bit different with the idea of when you apply this to other dimensions, because they have to, in a sense, shift their frequency to interact in your dimension. And if your frequency is not of a reality level that they are capable of shifting to, you will most likely never be capable of really encountering them at all. Do you understand? Because they're not part of your mass consensus agreement. Do you follow me?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right.
Today when I was swimming, it was a beautiful swim. I
Yes.
was going along at the top of the water, and all of a sudden I turn, and I see these two fish, and they're right there, right next to me, and my body has this immediate, and it's like this. It's like I'm a very consider myself a feeling-based person, and my body has this reaction before my mind kicks in. Luckily, I'm learning to let my mind then remember that I was fine a second ago. I'm fine now, and I let the fear go.
All right.
And it I was able to.
Now, are you sure that what you were feeling was truly fear, or was it just surprise?
It was surprise, but that.
But what were
shock
you
that
afraid of?
I was afraid of physical.
Harm?
Yes.
By the fish?
I believe so. That's the only thing I can think of because.
In other words, you kicked into survival mode.
Yes,
Because you weren't
totally.
sure for a moment what you were dealing with.
Right, and
Until you
that's-
identified it.
That's right, and that survivor mode is at a trigger can be.
All right, very good, very good, very good. Then what you have just begun to understand, and this is what also you were talking about, and several of you are actually talking about, is the issue of identification. Can you identify what you suddenly find yourself interacting with quickly enough so that you will not find yourself going into survival mode because you cannot identify what the experience is that you're having? But you see, the idea of that is that what we are all doing in this interaction is entraining you to have a broader scanner so that you can identify more frequencies more quickly, and thus then when you find something you've never encountered before, you can identify it much more rapidly, and thus then not go into fear, or stay in fear for a very brief amount of time and rapidly identify it and form some form of relationship with the vibration you are perceiving that heretofore was unknown to you. This is why it all boils down, as you say, to the idea we've discussed many times about making a friend of the unknown itself. when you start dealing with the very concept itself of the unknown and start making the unknown your friend, then you will have a much more rapid positive response to something that is unknown. Now again, understand, we are not talking about the idea of letting yourself suddenly become some animal's lunch because you will just sit there and go, "Oh, hello, pretty shark." Now, although you could, and you could communicate with that being as well in a manner that it will not harm you. But understand, what we are simply talking about is the ability of rapid identification and rapid recognition about what the relationship actually is, and also mastery eventually of being able to communicate with that being in such a way that you will know it is not really possible in that state of grace for anything to truly actually mean you harm in any way, shape, or form. Now, we understand that in that sense, even sharks do not really mean anything harm. They are being sharks. That is their nature. But nevertheless, you can also create a space with you, with a shark, with any other being you are unfamiliar with the unknown. You can create a space where you can relate in a manner that will allow you to know that in that moment, in that state of grace, in that bubble reality, in that space, in that sacred space, all things are recognized and acknowledged as sacred. And in that sacred recognition and in that sacred acknowledgement, there can only be the experience of that recognition and acknowledgement, and no other action that in any way, shape, or form dilutes it. Does that make sense to you all? Yeah. So in that sacred space, you recognize that you are the shark, that the shark is you, that you are the ET, that the ET is you. And in that sacred space where all is one, in that vibration where all is one, then there is not something that can do something to something else. Because there is nothing else. There is no elseness. There is only one. And it will not do any negative thing to itself. Does that make some sense to you vibrationally? Yes. Does that help with your fish story?
Yes, thank you very much. So Bashar,
yes.
You're not going to pop out of nowhere, are you? That was actually my question.
Are we going to pop out of nowhere? That is your question?
No.
Are you afraid that we might?
I think that would be my fear, if you were to just pop out of, if I was walking down the street and I wasn't expecting it.
Well, all right. Well, then how about if we pop out of somewhere?
Then I...
Will that be less fearful for you?
Then I would
or is
have
it the
no fear.
popping that you're having a problem?
Yes!
Not where we're coming from.
If I knew you were coming, I wouldn't have no fear. But
I
if you
see.
just popped out of then I would just go, I would be startled.
So, all
And I
right,
would
well,
probably
startled.
jump
All
up
right,
and
yes,
down.
startled. This is what we were already just discussing,
right,
the idea that
exactly.
suddenly
She
you are
sort of
faced
had
with the
the
unknown,
same,
and it feels like you are suddenly unsure, out of control, don't know where you are, don't know what's going on, you lose your ground, the rug has been pulled out from under you. All those aphorisms. We understand that. However, it is unlikely you will not feel us coming.
Okay.
In much the same way, it is unlikely that you would not have the sense of anything in nature starting to come, like rain, like sun, like wind. You get a sense that there is a change. And then you feel something coming. You feel the change coming on, you feel it building, you feel it growing. and you start to recognize it. Now, I'll put it this way to you. We may in fact pop in. However, if you wish, we will agree with anyone who so desires, for this to some degree is what's going on right now, why we're having these kinds of conversations instead of just popping in. But at different rates, in different ways, in different time periods, we will agree and have agreed with everyone that we will come in at whatever rate is comfortable for you. We'll whisper first. All right? So first it will just be pop. And you will first go, what was that? Then we'll go, pop. You go, come again? Pop. Oh, pop. Oh, pop. Oh, there you are. So we will always agree to do it in whatever staged manner is necessary for your ability to relate to. There is no point in that sense in scaring you. Unless, of course, you find that fun, which many of you do. Which, of course, is why you have All Hallows Eve. So, 364 days of the year, we will come in slowly. But on Halloween, we might just pop in. Because that's what you expect to happen on Halloween. And if we just came in slowly on Halloween, it would be kind of a letdown. Does this help you?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. I have something to say.
All right, by all means, what do you have to say?
Your question last night.
Yes.
About why we want to make contact.
Yes.
Yes. It's because we love you. We love you.
No, that is not why. It's because you want to learn to love yourselves. That's why. You understand the difference? But we love you too. Thank you. Anyone else? You have a fear. What is your fear? All right, you go next.
I was, Bashar?
Yes?
I was just wondering if I could share quickly an experience that I had when I was contacted.
Is it a fearful one?
It began that way.
All right. And?
It addresses that.
All right. Proceed.
On October 22nd, I was at Joan Ocean's Making Contact evening, and the letter was read that if you want to make contact, you have to say yes.
Yes.
And so I went home and said, yes!
All right.
And immediately I began to feel afraid.
All right.
And I began to see light shining flashes all around me. And for about a half hour, I was really afraid. And I thought I'd done something terrible.
And what did you think you had done?
Oh, I was afraid.
Of what?
Of the unknown. And that
Why did you say it the way you said it? That you had done something terrible? What did you think you had done?
Maybe opened up something that I wasn't ready for.
You mean like a Pandora's box?
Maybe, yes.
A genie's bottle?
Yes.
The floodgates?
And I did.
All right. And what did you find inside?
I found that I just sat down and sang because I wasn't really wanting to go into the fear but not deny it.
All right, thank you.
And so I
Very
sang.
good response.
And then when I got up and went into my bedroom, there was a dimensional window that had opened, and there were 3 silhouettes in that window.
Yes.
With a very diamond sparkling background
All right.
behind them,
All right.
backlighting them.
All right.
And immediately they said, "We're here.
Yes.
And you can ask us anything you want."
Yes.
And so we began to ask questions, and I journaled that.
Thank you.
That was the beginning.
Thank you.
So they
That will do for the moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for transforming your fear by singing.
Yes.
By increasing your vibration in that way. Very powerful suggestion. You can sing your fears into joy. Not as a denial, as was said, not as a suppression, as was said, but as an acknowledgement the fear is there for a purpose, your reason, as a messenger to bring you information. Singing it into joy is one very powerful, transformative way to use it. Thank you.
Yes.
What is your fear? Oh, was there a moment ago?
I was waiting for the mic.
Oh, all right. Waiting for Mike. That slow Mike.
My fear actually has to do with a contact that I've had where I had fear.
And again, what was the fear?
I got paralyzed.
Yes.
I felt it coming, like you said.
Yes.
I was ready to go to
Yes.
this concert, and I felt this don't go, and I stayed.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. I'm wondering what's this feeling. I'm gonna
Blah,
just-
blah, blah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I just don't want to, I could talk about it all night. Anyways, I laid down, and instantly when I laid down on my bed,
Yes.
I was frozen. I couldn't
Yes.
move, and I was
Yes.
on my back.
Yes.
And I had a puppy at the time, and she was on my side, and she rolled over to my side like there's something over here.
Yes.
And I look over there, and standing in the doorway was this being about like 7 feet tall.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh my God, I couldn't move. I wanted to get up and run, and,
Yes.
and I couldn't. And he,
That was for your benefit, you understand?
yeah. Yeah. Well, it's actually what led me to you, because I've always wondered about this.
All right. But before you go on, first and foremost, please understand, many of you describe the idea of that paralysis, and no matter who you're dealing with, no matter what agenda they may have, the paralysis itself is the effect of dimensionally shifting, but not knowing how to behave in that dimension, not knowing how to move in that dimension, because you have to move differently there than where you are used to moving. So often when you are shifted, you will feel paralyzed because you are not yet of truly the understanding of how to move in that dimension. That's what the paralysis is. And also, in that sense, sometimes the paralysis is imposed to make sure that you move to the dimension you need to move to. Because sometimes when you are shifted, if you are not in that sense focused in a certain direction, you might simply pop into another dimension that wasn't the one that was in that sense intended. So the paralysis acts as a directional guiding wave as well, saying this corridor only, not this one.
I see.
But because you might be attempting to move in other ones, you will find that you cannot unless you just move in this one. Once you learn you can move in this one, you will no longer really experience that except very, 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 very brief moment of time when you make the shift. Then you'll be able to move because you will know you're now moving in a different way. Even though it may seem like you're moving in the same way, you won't be, because you'll have gotten used to the idea that you're using a completely different set of vibrational senses to move in the new dimensional frequency. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, because I've done that since then, out
Yes.
of body.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So that's basically, though there are other things to it, that is basically what the paralysis is all about. So in that sense, it's not really anything to be feared.
I see.
And doesn't mean that something bad is about to happen to you because you cannot run and flee. You understand?
Yeah.
In that sense, it's like a cocoon, a corridor, a waveguide to make sure that you wind up where you really need to wind up.
Right.
In much the same way that you could say that one of your airplanes paralyzes you from walking outside the cabin during flight
Right.
by shutting you in. You understand?
Yes.
It's a similar concept.
Yes.
Well,
the other fear that happened, I guess, was because he wasn't human. Not
Yes.
that he wasn't human, but he had these red eyes that when I
Yes.
looked into him, they went forever. I could see eternity in him.
Yes.
And he had this chain-linked veil, sort of beekeeper's mask on, and I could see behind it, but I couldn't fully see his face, and I could see he had like a sort of square face with dark skin and deep
Yes.
features. Then he was wearing this plain shirt, but then he had these pants, the coolest pants I've ever seen in my life. They had all these little patches of different material that
Yes.
looked like they were from everywhere in the universe.
All right. Now you understand that this is to some degree a screen memory.
A screen memory.
A screen memory, in that sense, is a projection or a memory imposed upon you that allows you to see something that exhibits some of the qualities of the being you're actually interacting with, but may not actually be a literal interpretation of who you're actually interacting with.
And that's what made me comfortable was the pants.
Yes.
Like instantly I was like, oh, he's cool.
Yes. In that sense, something will be pulled. Something will be pulled from within you that will allow you to have something to relate to.
I see.
On a vibration that you are willing to relate to it on.
I see.
You understand?
Yes, yes. Yes, he just walked up to me and stared at me in the eyes. He was
Yes.
really slow and gentle and
Yes.
turned around and left, and I was unparalyzed and
Yes.
I ran
All right.
out of the house.
All right. Thank you for discussing that.
Yes.
Do you feel all right about this encounter?
Yes, I was wondering if you had any idea of my connection with him or what that might have been about, if I know him or if it was just a pop-in of somebody.
Oh, there's that popping again.
If I just attracted that certain being at that time or...
This is not an accident, and it is not, in that sense, a first-time encounter. So yes, you have a relationship ongoing, and in that sense, a specific agenda, a specific purpose that you are working out within those encounters.
I see.
No, I will not spill the beans.
I guess not.
However, give us a moment. We will check something for you, all right?
Thank you.
One moment. One moment. Let's talk a little bit more about the pants.
Okay.
Patches and pockets. Define specifically what you thought, as you say, was cool about them.
The brilliance of all the colors and the fabrics, the different textures, they're just every single patch was a different size and a different shape and a different color and a different texture, and it was just amazingly awesome to look at. It was just beautiful, like art or someone beautiful that you just want to stare at forever.
All right. And thus then they represented the idea of ultimate diversity working together in harmony. You understand?
Yes.
Everything is slightly different size, shape, and color, all fitting together perfectly in a patchwork that works, in a patchwork that is functional, in a patchwork you can put on, that you can wear. You understand? That you can adopt that mantle, those clothes. In a sense, euphemistically, you can wear that idea. Do you follow? So, what is being said is this idea of recognizing that ultimate diversity with regard to things that may be unknown are nevertheless no less beautiful when you recognize their relationship to everything else and why they are there, and that everything has a purpose and a reason for being, or it would not be. So look at the unknown that way, and when you wear it in that sense, when you make it your own, when it becomes as friendly as an old pair of dungarees, then you will really be walking your talk. You understand? All right. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, let us move forward for the moment, allowing each of you to ponder whatever questions you wish now in your own timing. All of you take a deep breath. And let it out. Close your eyes if you wish. Become comfortable and relaxed. Take another deep breath. Comfortable and relaxed, enjoying the beautiful evening air. Another deep breath, comfortable and relaxed. Enjoying the sounds wafting up to you on the beautiful evening air of a concert of all sorts of instruments harmonizing together, an orchestra playing a beautiful melody The rising and falling of the pitches and sounds, the instruments blending harmoniously. Now and then a single instrument, now and then all of them together, reaching crescendos, going down into very soft, soft refrains. A beautiful melodic piece, flowing, ebbing, in and out, like your breath. With every breath, you actually take the vibrations, the music within you. With every breath out, you allow yourself to flow those vibrations out to all others so they may breathe them in. In and out, in and out, in and out. And recognizing, as we just discussed, all the different sounds, all the different frequencies working in harmony together, in unison together, forming a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful orchestration. Breathe it in. Now, as you are immersed in the music, in much the same way you are immersed in the air, it is all around you, like an ocean of sound, penetrating through you, through every cell responding like it is, floating on a wave, gently back and forth, floating on the music, gently back and forth, relaxing every cell in your body, relaxing and opening in acceptance of yourself, in acceptance of all that is in its infinite diversity. Acceptance, allowance, love. And as you bathe and float in this acceptance, the sea of allowance, you feel your heart beating, 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 rhythmically, effortlessly, easily, confidently, assuredly, appreciatively, in humbleness, in gratitude, in love. And you recognize and see and imagine and feel that every heartbeat actually generates an electromagnetic pulse that races outward from your body in a sphere of electromagnetic energy at the speed of light. Every single heartbeat of every single one of you, every single heartbeat generates an electromagnetic pulsed sphere racing outward at the speed of light, immersing your entire planet, and all of you are immersed in everyone's heartbeats, every single beat. Immersed in the heartbeat, electromagnetic energy, immersed in all those bubbles, all those spheres of everyone's heartbeat on the planet, in the ocean, on the land, in the sky. Heartbeats, communicating, interpenetrating, talking, singing, loving, growing, being, feeling, knowing. A beautiful symphony, a beautiful orchestration of heartbeats. The rhythm of your earth. The rhythm of your earth in response. Acknowledging every heartbeat individually and all of them together. The rhythm of the earth. The rhythm of the earth. The rhythm of the earth. Breathe it in. Float in it. Daily, nightly, weekly, monthly, yearly. Float in it. For centuries. For millennia. Float in it for eons. Float in it forever. It never goes away. It never diminishes. Float in it. Float in it. Float in it. In that electromagnetic orchestration of heartbeat bubbles, feel then in the center of your heart that is generating all of these electromagnetic bubbles, feel the doorway that leads to all other heartbeats throughout the galaxy, throughout the universe, throughout the multiverse, throughout creation, throughout existence, throughout all that is. The heartbeat, the heartbeat, the heartbeat of creation welcomes you, is open to you, invites you in, embraces you, supports you, nurtures you, loves you unconditionally, forever and ever. Take a deep breath and make it your own. Allow yourselves to slowly open your eyes when you are comfortable, if you have not done so already. And just sit for a moment. Just a moment. Sit for a moment in eternity. We have now in this gathering the opportunity to sit and relax and have a cup of tea. We have two kinds, brevity and eternity. You may have both if you wish. And just sip and relax. Enjoy your tea. No rush, no hurry, nowhere to be, but here and now. You may all take a short break. We will resume transmission. All right, I'll say, let us continue with the idea of preparing for contact. As we have indicated, preparing for contact with others, of course, first and foremost involves contacting different elements of your own self that may have heretofore not been integrated within you. That is the first step. In so doing, you will change your vibration, you will change who and what you define yourself to be, and you will give off a frequency that will then be reflective and representative of what level of contact is available for you. And that will be responded to when it is appropriate for you. This whole idea of opening contact for your planet has been done thousands upon thousands of times over many, many, many millions of years throughout this and other galaxies, in this and other universes. At this timing, our particular interstellar alliance, association of worlds, federation, if you wish to call it that, doesn't matter, is but one of many such gatherings, one of many such collectives. There are overlaps sometimes between the different alliances, and there are, of course, worlds that do not, in that sense, officially belong to any of the alliances. And, of course, many worlds and many civilizations and many beings that have yet to be discovered. But this is always ongoing. An interaction and what you call first contact is always a fascinating and exciting experience. For the differences that are discovered are often things that are, in fact, of course, unexpected, unknown. But as they are explored, they bring challenges and expansions of the magnificence and multiplicity and multidimensionality of all that is, in all the ways it can express itself throughout the creation that it is. One example, even for us, that we have used of late and will remind some of you of now and tell others of you new that have not heard it before, is of an encounter with a race that is called the Thuk. When we encountered the Thuk, we realized something quite fascinating. The Thuk are unique in our experience of encountering different species and civilizations in that when you are standing with them face to face and talking with them, communicating with them, everything seems in your terms to be going along just fine. The second you turn away and are not actually looking at them or are not in their presence, you cannot remember anything that happened except that you had an encounter with something. This is their very nature. We are beginning to remember more and more of the encounters as we alter ourselves and our vibration to include the unknown in a new and unique way and understand more and more deeply what they represent and reflect to us and to others in creation. Constantly, they are in that sense new for those that encounter them. For you cannot ever remember having really encountered them before, even though something tells you they are familiar. It is deja vu over and over and over and over and over again with the Thuk. Those kinds of experiences are also something that are going to be opening for your world as you eventually become a member of the Alliance. You yourselves, over time, will develop your own curriculums, your own service, your own formats, your own assistance to other worlds to help them rise, to help them accelerate, to help them learn, grow, expand. And we will therefore help you and assist you in your helping of others as well. And we will work together in that sense until you, as a planet, as a being, as a race, also can, with the same degree of facility, service many other worlds in much the same way we are servicing your world and others. As I have mentioned right now, we are in contact with 27 different civilizations, including your own, that are, in a sense, being acclimated to joining the Alliance, the Association of Worlds. We are at various stages of interaction, of course, with all the 27 different worlds and civilizations thereupon. Stages that are appropriate to what we are experiencing with them. One such world, one such civilization is at a stage where also, of course, they are inquiring about what is going on with some of the other civilizations besides them that we are in contact with. And certainly they have asked many different questions about all of you. Some of the things we have told them, they find quite fascinating. Some of the things, of course, they find difficult to believe. But it would be no surprise that you would find the same thing to be true about them. They are willing to allow us to share a few ideas of their world, as again a preparation for the idea not only of your own imminent contact with other civilizations, but also in a long-range sense in preparing you to contact other civilizations on your own. Now, one of the things that occurred when we first contacted this other civilization is that we recognized that they have the ability to create a sound, a kind of a humming buzz that incorporates much of their communication. In that sense, you will find that they are highly organized in terms of their brain structure to interpret and compress their communication in those kinds of sounds. For what may sound like one monotone, long buzz to you is actually a highly complex equation of sounds that they are actually capable of interpreting. When we explain to them about the idea of your different forms of communication, linguistically, auditorily, it was almost incomprehensible that you would be able to communicate anything of importance so slowly. Nevertheless, we assured them that you get along just fine in that department. Sometimes. They suggested, perhaps, that you might adopt something more similar to their particular modality, and we suggested in that sense that sometimes you do, but you do it technologically, by compressing information into the idea of electromagnetic pulses, and thus then decode it, in that sense, in the receiving end, such as with what you call your telephonic devices, radio devices, television devices, and so forth. And again, they found it fascinating that you would do it outside your bodies technologically, and not within your bodies, organically, biologically. Nevertheless, thus then recognize that all of their communication in that sense, even that which you may call technological, is actually acoustic in nature. Even though they have electromagnetic technology, it is very different from your own. And here is the way they use it. They will actually create resonance bubbles of highly compressed information. That resonance bubble will be transmitted through a phase-shifting device to whatever needs to receive it, and will, in a sense, pop, releasing its acoustic vibrational message. So they will build up a type of bubble, in that sense, vibrationally, harmonically. Zzz. Then, at the other end, zzz, it will release the information instantaneously, in a short burst. These acoustic bubbles are transmitted, in a sense, in an interdimensional way. It is not really anything like your technology, although it is electromagnetically applied, electromagnetically activated. But a very different kind of idea of how these bubbles of acoustic compressed information will actually ride the electromagnetic frequency of the entire planet they are on, and disappear in one spot and reappear in another, popping and delivering their information. So suddenly it would be like you could be walking along anywhere on the planet and receive, in that sense, this burst of information, suddenly, yes, popping in out of thin air. The bubble, in that sense, would appear and and deliver its information. So all over the planet, there is they somehow manage to keep them all straight. Because again of the structure of their brains. There is this constant buzzing in the air because of their constant communications, popping to and fro through the electromagnetic field of the planet to each other, to groups, to individuals, and what have you. It is quite fascinating. We have experienced this actually personally by visiting their planet and been immersed in this sea of popping, buzzing bubbles. It is quite energizing. These are the kinds of things you will encounter, and more things far different and far, in a sense, unexpected than these. Things for which you will actually have absolutely no structural paradigm whatsoever. Similar to the concept of the Thuk. You will have to invent new paradigms to even interact with them in any meaningful way. But such is the nature of creation in its infinite diversity. Such is the wonder, such is the surprise, such is the joy, such is the imagination of all that is. I, Magi nation. You are a nation of magicians. Magic is the natural order of things. Your world is magical, and certainly, to alien eyes, quite unusual and fascinating. Rich and complex in modalities others have never even dreamed of, and cannot even dream of, some of them, because they do not exist in the vibrational paradigm that would even allow them to begin to imagine how you operate in a way that you take for granted every day as normal and natural for you. The universe and all the things you will encounter in it is also richly complex, and there will never, ever, ever be an end to the things you will find and discover, or the things that will find and discover you. There will never be an end. It is an ongoing infinite sharing, an ongoing infinite exchange, an ongoing infinite appreciation of all the ways all that is has of expressing what it is. Here and now, in a simultaneous co-creation of multidimensional existence. If you think the last 1,000 years have been exciting, just wait. Now, all of this will sink in. The totality of the transmission we have given will begin to unlock, and has begun to unlock, many different kinds of doorways within your psyche, your consciousness, your belief systems, your definitions, your emotions, your behaviors, your thoughts, words, and deeds. Surrender to them. Open to them. In whatever way, shape, and form is a comfortable pace for you. Surrendering is simply becoming your natural self and finding you've always been totally in control, without having to effort or force anything to occur. Be open to contact, because you are open to contacting anything within you that will allow you to recognize who and what you are as an infinite being and an aspect of creation. Let us conclude this transmission with interaction in the form of questions or comments, if you wish.
Yes,
Good day.
Good day, Bashar. I'm wondering about when you talk about vibration. Do you consider them frequencies that could be actually imitated by our electronic means to be closer to?
Yes, some vibrational electronic recreation can facilitate the idea of entraining you to practice the idea of getting in touch, getting in sync, in much the same way we are in training you with our vibration. This can be done electronically with a variety of means, can be done with light, can be done with sound, can be done in a variety of ways to entrain you to vibrate in harmony, vibrate in accord with different frequencies that are representative of higher planes of being. This is one of the things we suggested at the beginning with the idea of the musical instrument. You remember?
Yes, and what are these vibrations in the lower subharmonic end of the spectrum, or the upper harmonic ends?
The idea is that you will find that you are the full spectrum in that sense, but what it is you are intending, is to take all of your relative vibrations up to a higher dimensional level. It is not that you are just raising your vibrations in frequency within a range of harmonics within one reality dimensionally. You are taking all of your vibrational harmonics and you are stepping them all up to a new dimensional level through your intention, your imagination, your joy, your excitement, your focus. You understand?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
Good evening.
And to you, good day.
Yes. John here.
All right.
Thank you.
John there.
John. Yes. Question relative to many of the points you've touched on tonight about sound, about frequency, harmonics. I have practiced Chinese medicine, energetic medicine, acupuncture based on meridians and chakras for approximately 30 years. But lately...
In this life.
In this life,
yes.
This time around.
Yes.
But lately I have been most fascinated by the use of sound and light in frequency and in harmonics.
Yes.
And I was interested, as we make this shift, our medicine of the future, and still we have a third dimensional body. I assume you have a medicine also.
It is all harmonically based, but we do not need the concept of a medicine per se in our reality. But yours is becoming more harmonically based, yes.
Okay, so these particular waves of sound and light that are used by the cetaceans also, the dolphins and the whales, the soliton waves that they use for communication and for healing.
All right.
Is this part of the, it's a suspicion, I have a suspicion that this is a part of this technology that's available to us?
You can learn this from them, yes. They can be very instructive in showing you exactly what frequencies will have what effect on your bodies. Study that.
And the frequencies of the spheres, the music of the spheres itself, the frequencies of planetary bodies, of the planets, the sun, the earth, the moon.
Anything that exhibits the idea of the natural golden proportion ratios in that sense will have benefit in application vibrationally and harmonically to your bodies, yes.
Thank you. And one more question, if I might. I'm considering having a diagnostic procedure called an MRI, magnetic resonance spectroscopy, done on myself. But I was wondering, would it be possible for you to do a quick scan of my lumbar spine?
One moment. Have you had an accident?
Yes.
Of what nature?
I've had many accidents, but I have an inflammatory condition in the lumbar spine, degenerative.
Though there may be what you would call extenuating circumstances depending upon the process that you must go through, most often than not, regeneration can occur most strongly in the following methodologies first. No matter what other methodology you may use, the first and primary methodology must be that your body must be made capable of receiving and holding whatever healing methodology is utilized. And one of the ways we always recommend on your planet to recognize, to make your body more capable of holding healing methodologies, is to completely detoxify your body. Do you understand?
Yes.
In detoxifying your body, flushing your organs, getting the toxins out, and then putting in the proper nutrients, you will find that that will not only erase about 90% of all symptomologies of disease in every human being on your planet, but you will find it will also allow your body to rapidly heal itself, which it always can do if you simply get the toxins out of the way, so it isn't focusing all of its energy on the idea of removing toxins from the body and not having enough energy left to actually heal what needs to be repaired. Your body can repair this, but it must be thoroughly detoxified and then infused with the natural, organic, high-potency nutrients that your body requires for regeneration. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is this of assistance to you?
It is. What manner of detoxification in particular would you
There are
suggest?
obviously several programs that exist on your planet. Find the one that works best for you. We are always willing to recognize that there are some programs which have already worked out, as you would say, all of the necessary ingredients, all of the necessary steps to such a high degree of efficiency that they can, even by us, be in some sense recommended to you. One such program exists from a company on your planet that is called American Botanical Pharmacy that exists in your Los Angeles region. They provide a program of detoxification that is extremely strong and effective, and a program of herbal nutrients that are extremely potent. In such manner, many people have actually healed themselves in 30 to 90 days of almost anything you can imagine. Do you understand?
Yes, thank you.
You are welcome. Detoxification, by the way, will also make it easier for you to encounter higher vibrations in contact. Detoxification will allow your vibration to find its normal, natural level of functionality. Your planet as it is contains high degrees of pollutants in the air, the water, and the food. Just dealing with that makes it more difficult for your body to find the frequency that will allow higher vibrational contacts to occur smoothly. Adding more things into that will decrease that ability further. Remember, as we have suggested, as you evolve and you become more rarefied, more refined, the idea is that anything that really is out of sync with your vibration of truth will massively slow the process down of your ability to encounter vibrational realities and contact and experiences with vibrational realities of higher frequency. The more detoxification you can maintain in your systems, cleansing yourselves out twice, 3, 4 times a year, will maintain a body frequency that will allow rapid regeneration, rapid healing, and it'll take you much further, much faster with regard to higher vibrational frequencies that represent encounters with other consciousnesses on different higher frequency levels. So detoxification is also key in many forms of the idea of contact. All right?
We're going to break for a second and change the tape, please.
One moment, one moment, one moment. Prepare for transition. One moment. We are able to allow you to know that we are holding the space us always and always for you to join in the circle that represents our family in the water and our family on the land. Remember that you have often been us and that we have often been you incarnationally, and that in times past, in ancient lands and ancient seas, we swam in the same energy dream. We swam in the same ocean of consciousness, and now can begin to do so again in this now time, in this now sharing, in this now blending of the family, coming back together from its long journey around the world, its long journey through time and space, coming full circle back again to the time of the beginning and finding it to be new for the first time. We always will greet you when you decide to meet us there in the space and in the time that is here and now. We will always love you, and you may always know it is available forever and now, one and the same. Will that do as a message? Dreamer dreams of you all the time. Dreamer dreams of all of you all the time. Dreamer holds the family dream in his mind always. Pictures and forms and sounds. Always he is holding that space. Always that space is there for you. Always that home is there. Come home. Come home. Come home. Paradoxically enough, when you actually come home, finally come home, that's where you'll find all of us waiting for you. Home. Here and now. Home. We find at this timing it is appropriate for you to absorb what you have been given and dream the dream you need to dream of who and what you are. Understand, our unconditional love is with you always and in all ways. Love yourselves unconditionally. You deserve nothing less. Contact is occurring, both within and without. We thank you. We bid you good day. How did it go? Thank you all very much for being here for both nights. And thank you for filling the space. Thanks. My pleasure.